TFNB, your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the SMOAK Show. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports with David Smoke and Craig Smoke.
And good afternoon on this Wednesday afternoon, and more today. And I know some of you, when you get in the chat, you're like, oh, what are we discussing today? Well, Brendan Sorsby's agent spoke today on a station up in Dallas. We've had him on this show before. We'll have a couple of clips of that from him. And you could already see that Tech is now who is the face of the football program with Will Hammond. We'll have that. And then I want to ask you this, Craig, as we start today's show. Welcome, 365 Sports, the SMOAK Show on YouTube. Was what occurred, and I'm sure Texas Tech fans don't feel this way, but what occurred and how the Big 12 maneuvered through this and the way Yormark handled it, letting really the AD say most of everything, better moment for him than when he weaved through conference realignment and jumped ahead of the Pac-12 with a new TV extension and also the 4 schools that joined the conference?
Well, first of all, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, and appreciate you being here. And as always, thanks for you just following along, watching, listening, and also giving your feedback in chat or wherever. Glad to have you. What's up, chat? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really view this story, and there is more to this story as much as I was kind of bemoaning the fact yesterday that this fun ride that we've been on, and fun can be put in parentheses for Texas Tech fans in particular, but this just interesting ride that we've been on that's kind of captivated the entire not just college football community, but in a lot of ways the football community, even the national community. I see a lot of shows that don't ever talk college football, that sometimes kind of even look their nose down on it. They're talking Brendan Sorsby. They're talking college football, which has been part of the uniqueness of this story, is just how much it's got people talking. But yeah, we've got, as you mentioned, the agent now on the record. He's deflecting somewhat, pointing the finger at Cincinnati, which we'll get into. We've got Cody Campbell doing a local television interview last night, and really the first time we've heard him on camera, on mic, I think, or one of the few times since this happened just a couple of days ago. So we're going to have that to unpack. So there are new things coming out of this story. But to your question, I don't know. I don't really sit here and view this as a what does this make Brett Yormark look like sort of moment. I think he handled the problem in a really smart way where he just let the process play out. He actually and it wasn't by design necessarily, but by just approaching it the way that they did, they let Tech bury themselves with Ken Paxton and the legal threats. So if that doesn't happen last week, then are we talking about Brett Yormark being some genius today, or are we talking about him having handled this well? I don't know. I think we're maybe talking about even more of a fight building up between Texas Tech and the Big 12 potentially. But yeah, I don't view this as well, what a great job Brett Yormark did. I will say though, yeah, he did a good job. I don't want to rank it because this is part of his job. This is just what he's supposed to do is handle affairs like this. And I think for what this story is worth, he did a really solid job for the Big 12. And I think that they can't really look back and feel like they should have done anything differently by just playing it cool, kind of letting Tech be the aggressor or their lawyers or whatever, and just saying, well, we're going to review everything we can. We're going to have these meetings. Everybody knows we're having these meetings. We come out of these meetings and we're letting it be known what these meetings entailed. We talked about Tech, and guess what? It's 15-1. Everybody feels like there should be a punishment. The athletic director said it. The president said it. The whoever said it, they said it. We knew where they stood. We just didn't know what they were going to be able to do about it. And really, they didn't have to do anything because they were given this alley-oop by Ken Paxton that allowed their lawyer, who apparently is a BYU alum, I saw on Twitter. I didn't.
The one who helped the Big 12. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
They were given this alley-oop, the Big 12, and she, in part, helped slam it home. So, yeah, I mean, they got a big win here for the conference, I think, for college football. I don't know how you'd compare it to realignment. I think they're two entirely different scenarios, but I'm thinking he deserves a little bump in his performance grade overall for sure with how all this has gone for him and for the league.
So we'll update real quickly that West Virginia is about to be knocked out of the College World Series. We'll get back to that a little bit later in the headlines with a 10-1 North Carolina leading that game in the 6th inning. And there's a game tonight, Georgia and Oklahoma. Here is Brendan Sorsby's agent, Ron Slavin, on 105.3 The Fan. And in the morning, if I work out or run, I usually have my AirPods in. And I listen to Sean and RJ and others Bobby, that are a part of that. And I heard the interview. I'm like, oh, we've had Ron on. I reached out to him. He said he's shutting it down for the rest of the day and going on a vacation. I can imagine he needs to do that. But he was asked by the radio station, the show, why was the decision made that Brendan Sorsby would leave Texas Tech?
Why did you guys make the decision now to leave college for the NFL?
Just came down to too much pressure from everybody else on Tech, and Brendan still wanted to play at Tech. This wasn't Brendan Sorsby not wanting to play college football. This was Brendan Sorsby just being advised by the school that I think it's time for you. We had 7 days left to file for the supplemental draft and didn't know where this thing was going to go. So we won in court. We did our job on our side, but for whatever reason, the world melted down like football was ruined forever.
All right. We did our job. We won in court, but for whatever else, college football melted down. And so that's part of it. Let's get your opinion, Craig. You and I go back and forth on each. There's 3 audio clips. None of them are very long. That's one. And we'll get to another one in just a moment about the price that his agent thinks that Sorsby paid. But Craig, your thoughts about what he said?
I mean, I don't want to take too much from a guy's tone, but he sounds kind of flippant about the whole thing, which I don't necessarily love. Like you think the world was burning down. It's like, yeah, people were pissed, dude. Like, you think you'd understand that given what you've gone through the last couple of weeks. You think you'd understand why people are pissed. So I don't really love just kind of him dismissing it as though everybody was so angry about it. It's like when you see people do something wrong and then they don't say they're sorry. This is like the biggest tell of who a-holes are, or people who really don't believe that they did anything wrong. Even when it's clear they did something wrong, they don't apologize, right? They say, I'm sorry if you were offended. I'm sorry if you got upset about what I did that upset you. And so that's kind of what that comes across to me as. Is like, it's not that he should be apologizing either, mind you, but it's not like, yeah, Brendan screwed up and whatever. It's like, oh, I'm sorry you were offended by what he did. So it's like, it's your fault that you're upset. It's like, no, man, everybody's mad at the situation. I think to whatever else he said outside of me just getting on a tangent about that is, yeah, I think Texas Tech, as we'll get to at the Cody Campbell interview, clearly felt the pressure, and the pressure particularly from the Big 12. That was an error. That was a self-inflicted error. And we keep coming back to it because that's what really turned this thing on its head over the last couple of days and resulted in us going from late last week where Cody Campbell's on Dan Dockich's show basically going like, bring it on, baby. Yeah, and then 3 days later, it's like, well, we had to make a decision for Texas Tech that was best for everybody. It was like, that's where we went in very quick fashion. And it was all because of the way this flipped legally at the end of last week. So, yeah, I think Texas Tech found itself in a position where they couldn't really afford to fight because there were a few things that were suddenly in question. You can fight it, but you don't know that at some point here in the next couple months or some point in the season, there's not a judge somewhere that is then able to declare him ineligible all of a sudden. And then he's not able to go to a supplemental draft. He's stuck out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of a season. Tech suddenly doesn't have their starting quarterback, and everybody gets effed over that, right? So there's that possibility that could have happened. There was also the possibility that the Big 12, given that they clearly have power to make decisions on the rules within their conference that everybody's agreed to, they could have said, you know what, you're not playing in Arlington. We're banishing you from the Big 12 championship game. Now, we never got that far, and that's part of what I was morbidly curious about was like, where was this going to go? Like, not even to see Tech punished necessarily, but like what lengths was Tech and the Big 12 willing to go to keep hashing this out. And I think it's probably best for everybody that they stopped where they did, because I do think it would have gotten ugly just based on kind of Cody Campbell's reactions previously. Like, they weren't going to back down. So I think really what was telling was that they had to finally back down. They found a situation where they're like, oh no, we can't just go get a politician, or we can't just go hire a Jeffrey Kessler and expect to beat this. We got lucky to win the Sorsby injunction to begin with. Even though that was all on his own, of course. But I just think that the pressure was too high and the risk was too great, most of all, of what the unknown of what they could be punished with. They couldn't afford to find that out. It wasn't worth the risk.
No question about it. He also was then asked a question, and some of the questions are after I lead into it with Sean and RJ, that what he had brought up something about his client had paid the price. And so RJ follows up by asking him about that particular comment.
Go back to something you said, because you had mentioned that he paid the price for this before the decision to leave school and enter the supplemental draft. What price did he pay?
Well, he'll have over $1 million in attorney fees. His Adidas deal was taken away. Some other deals were taken away. And then he's not going to, be able to play his last year at Texas Tech, where, the reason Brendan, the funny thing is well, I guess this isn't funny, it's sad now, but on New Year's Eve, we got a phone call from a general manager that said that you're really not going to come out, because this was a team that loved Brendan and wanted to take him. And Brendan's whole thing was, I want to play another year of college football. I want to go back to Texas, and I want to have an opportunity to win a national championship and win a Heisman Trophy. So, that's 4 months ago, and now here we are, and he's in the supplemental. So that's what he's lost, and he's lost that. And then the financial part of it, if he would have gone out, and I think Texas Tech's roster is an SEC-built roster. James Blanchard and Joe McGuire have done a great job of building it. Everyone says, oh, they bought a roster. You still have to evaluate the talent and bring in the right guys. Yeah. So they have this super talented roster, and then they add Brendan to it, and opportunity to win a national championship and all the things that come with that, or an opportunity to win a Heisman Trophy and all the things that come with that. And then if he would have done that, he's a top 5 pick, and that's $50 to $60 million. So, this is a substantial loss for the kid. I feel terrible for him. And like I said, he's a great human being. There's not a bad bone in his body. There's a little, he's a little naive to some things, but other than that, this guy is not a criminal. He's not something that did all these, people talk about him like he did some horrible things. There's some horrible people in the NFL. There's some horrible players on the field today that would not be accepted in most societies, but because they're good at football, they play. That's not Brendan Sorsby.
If college football had a commissioner and you were the commissioner back when this story first broke, what would a fair punishment you think have been?
3% of the games.
So what? 3.5, 4 games tops. Why 30%? Why that number?
So the actual violations is a 30. If you look at the rules of the NCAA and the gambling, is a 30% loss in games.
All right, so that's Ron Slavin. That is Brendan Sorsby's agent. We had him, as I mentioned, he was Quinn Ewer's agent as well. So do know him. Complaining or saying that the price he paid was $1 million in attorney fees, that's because he had consequences for what he did. And he also hired, Jeffrey Kessler, and he comes with a high fee. Losing the Adidas deal is because you got yourself sideways and you made bad decisions. That's a consequence. So they back away from you. And then, of course, also not being able to play the last year at Tech, where you wanted to play one more year of college football. That's great. But again, the consequences of what he did when he was gambling and also breaking the rules.
Yeah, he clearly did not go unscathed. Hit to his reputation, all the public backlash. I would hate to look at his Twitter mentions or his Instagram mentions or any of that kind of stuff. I think it's probably just a complete mess what people all over the world have had to say and at him with. But, there is part of me. I'm a human being. I'm not some cold-blooded, just bad person that just wants my college football the way I want it and screw everybody who's hurt in the process of it. But I'm just like a lot of other people and being very adamant about this particular rule. And that's all it comes back to. I have nothing against Brendan Sorsby. I'm rooting for Brendan Sorsby to go off and have a successful life without gambling addiction, ruining it. and causing further damage than it's already caused, because his addiction did cost him all this. Like, ultimately, it didn't turn out as awful as it could have been, and had even more severe consequences where somebody gets hurt or something along those lines. But it has cost him dearly. And I hope that he's learned a lesson from this, because if you haven't learned a lesson from this, I don't know how you could possibly learn the lesson. I don't know what else could be done to let you know as a human, like, I cannot gamble anymore. I cannot do this as much as I might want to. It's not good for me. It's not good for the people around me. Look at what this has done. It has not brought me joy, except for in these passing moments where I get like a tiny jolt that lasts for half a second, and then I got to do it right again, like a nicotine addiction or something. Look what that's caused. It's caused all of this turmoil. It's affected all of these people, many of whom are only trying to help me, only trying to give me money, only trying to put me on a championship team. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot for him. I hope he's still in counseling, because I think he's going to need it just to deal with the fallout of understanding what all this has created. And I'm not trying to be too dramatic about it, but like, you think about it, like Cody Campbell stuck his neck out there for you, Joey McGuire, all of Texas Tech, your name itself. Like, when people think of Brendan Sorsby now, what are they going to first think of? Now, how can you take that and turn that and be a story that 5-10 years from now, we're not just going like, oh, that he got screwed, but like, just he turns out to be a good person and maybe somebody who helps prevent other people from gambling. Like, that's what I hope for him. I hope he doesn't let this be the end of the story for him, because it's not about let's kill Brendan Sorsby and throw him under the jail and everything. But yeah, there are consequences to your actions. And I think that's really just been the point all along, is strip away the uniform. The action is the action, and there are consequences that come with that. And he has had severe consequences. It looked like he wasn't going to, but now he has, because this has turned the way that it has. So I understand being sympathetic to him. I am, to some degree. I just, I feel like you can be sympathetic to the person, but also that doesn't take away from them having to face the consequences of their actions.
Yeah, I wish him the best moving forward, but at the same time, it's going to be day by day like anything else, no matter the addiction, and we're just living life. But here's the attorney fees is because he broke a rule.
Yeah, $1 million. Wow. For like less than a year's worth. That's when you got Jeffrey Kessler, right? I mean, geez.
He's not going to have to pay back any of the money that Tech gave him from the beginning. So he does have some of that. He would rather be playing and get the rest of it. Yes. But because he gambled. Adidas, they back away from him. We've seen many athletes, whoever, get themselves sideways or in some sort of drama or whatever, say something they don't need to say, or however the reaction is, they drop clients from promoting their product. And then the last year at Texas Tech was, again, the decision he made on Monday night that he was going to drop his lawsuit and enter the NFL, or at least declare for the supplemental draft. All of that is because of what he was doing from the time he was at Indiana and all the way into even when he was on campus at Texas Tech. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that about the Adidas part, so that's interesting to learn that, and the $1 million in attorney fees. I'm not surprised by that. I think it's great that Tech's at least given him the portion that he's been allocated for the time that he was there, so that'll certainly help with that. He's going to go play in the pros. I think he'll get an opportunity. And if I'm wrong, I'll be here the day after and say, oh, my God, everybody passed on him in the supplemental draft. I don't know. I just feel like it's weird. There's this difference between – there's pro football writers, like we have John McClain on, and he's like, oh, NFL doesn't care, they'll bring him on. And then there's others that are like, the NFL absolutely cares about gambling. Like, and this guy's as gambling coded as anybody has been in a really long time. So I don't know that the NFL is just going to be like, yeah, sure, bring him on. So I've seen differing opinions on that. I think he's very talented. I don't think he's like walk-in first-round pick start on one of 32 teams good. I think that maybe he could have been close to that by the end of the year, but I don't think he's there yet. So I'm very curious to see what the future holds for him as far as this supplemental draft goes, and what that looks like, because there are very different opinions from various NFL writers out there about how seriously they're going to take what's happened in his last few years.
Remember, with the supplemental draft, if it occurs that if you take They have you in 3 different groups, and if whoever takes them, if it's like the first round, you give up a first-round pick in April of next year. The 4th-round pick, you give up a 4th-round pick. Now, this is the one that got things stirred up again, because there still is the question about who knew what, when, and where, and how about Brendan Sorsby at Indiana, at Cincinnati. We've had Chad Brendel on, who was on last Friday, who I thought explained everything very well about the timing that Cincinnati was alerted that he had tried to make a bet. We discussed all that. And if you missed that segment, it's on our channel, 365 Sports YT. Now, you got to remember as well, and Ron Slavin is the agent for Brendan Sorsby. So he's going to do what he can do to try to help his client get into the draft and then hopefully get drafted higher than lower. The other thing is let's not forget now that Cincinnati is suing Brendan Sorsby for $1 million because he broke a contract. At least that's what Cincinnati thinks. And Ron Slavin probably not real thrilled about Cincinnati. And then, so here is a question about his agent on just this overall situation and how it's unfolded.
Some of these details that you're alluding to not already out, the entire story.
You have to be careful of some things just because of all the people involved. And the people I feel worse for, besides Brendan, is Texas Tech. And I know they might have, I think where they messed up was they talked too much. But nobody knew any of this about Brendan. Nobody knew when he was in the portal this was happening. I mean, Brendan probably should have gone in the draft in January, right, if we would have known, but nobody knew. So the people at Tech have been great, very supportive. Joy McGuire, I think, is one of the best human beings on the planet. He's a lot of head coaches are transactional. He is not. And they didn't do anything wrong here. If anybody should be questioned or be catching heat, it should be Cincinnati, because they knew for 2 years and never said anything and didn't do anything about it. So
yeah,
that's the part of the story that gets lost. And again, it's like, this is a 22-year-old kid who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He's had 2 girlfriends his entire life. He's at church every Sunday. He's a great human being. And I guess his biggest fault might be he's too giving. When I say that, his involvement with some of his friends and the predatory world of gambling, where you turn 18 and, deposit $5, you get a free 100. And every single show on TV and every single radio show, everything is sponsored by a gambling site. So it's a scary world we're living in. And we, these kids have all been raised now with phones in their hands. So it's real easy to get on an app and place a bet. So there's so much more to it, and it'll come out.
All right, that's Ron Slavin. That's the agent for Brendan Sorsby. Cincinnati knew for 2 years and never said anything or didn't do anything about it. That's the part of the story that gets lost. It never was lost on us. At least we asked those questions, Craig, and I'm glad that we did now. And I don't know if Slavin has a bone to pick with Cincinnati because of the what do you call it? The signing bonus, or what's
the lawsuit?
Yeah, I know, but what was it for? For breaking the contract, to leave a contract. I don't know if that's the case. I saw immediately, see, Cincinnati, they should be under the bus. Treat them like you treated Texas Tech. There's still a little bit of an open chapter there, but Ron Slavin on what he said about Cincinnati.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I'm glad to hear that Brendan almost sounds like borderline straight edge the way he describes it. Maybe not all the way, but doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, whatever, goes to church. I mean, that all sounds good. I mean, some of the biggest sinners I know go to church every Sunday, though. Some of the worst people I've ever seen wear the biggest cross necklaces you could ever buy. But I get the point he's trying to make, and I do think deep down, Brendan Sorsby's a good young man who just made some terrible decisions and has an issue. But man, that sounds like an awful lot of, well, what about? And
it sounds like a lot of deflection.
Yeah, it's a lot of deflection. It's the gambling company's fault. It's ESPN's fault. It's Cincinnati's fault. And you know what? There is a degree of culpability across the board. We're going to get to what Cody Campbell had to say. And Cody Campbell actually answers this question that kind of almost absolves Cincinnati in a way. He doesn't mention Cincinnati specifically, but he mentions what Tech knew. and how they knew and everything. And so we can get into that. But, I mean, I do think there is some merit to pointing out that it is ridiculous that Scott Van Pelt can be on SportsCenter with this grave face, and I like SVP, but have this grave face on talking about the integrity of the game, and there's a DraftKings logo in the corner. Like, that's not lost on me either. It's stupid. It's not lost on me when we watch NFL games that every other commercial is some goofy celebrity. Oh, look, it's Drewski. And I think Drewski's hilarious, but, it's just Drewski, or it's whoever, right? They're get DraftKings, sign up, and it's Timothy Chalamet. Like, get DraftKings, sign up. Yeah, young people are absolutely inundated. That's a very fair point as well. It doesn't mean that Brendan Sorsby's absolved from having placed thousands of bets over the course of multiple teams, multiple years, multiple accounts that weren't his, so on and so forth. So, I do think we need to have a reckoning with gambling. I think the prediction markets are actually scarier because...
You talking about Kalshi and all that kind of stuff?
Because they are the
underdog.
same thing under the guise of not being gambling, even though it's very clearly gambling, but they've got a good relationship with the people that govern that particular branch of what they're under. And so right now they're getting away with being able to say, like, no, we're not gambling, even though they're very clearly gambling. Like, I don't know that they get this same kind of leeway in the years to come. But right now they are, prediction markets, just able to kind of say, like, no, that's not us. But they're as much, I think, a part of the issues. And yeah, we're going to have a big reckoning with that, with a lot of young people that just get so accustomed to that being just part of their daily lives and just being something that's ingrained in their culture almost to a degree. I'm glad I missed out on that, man. I really am. So yeah, there is some culpability there. I do think for Cincinnati in particular, I see there's a lot of Tech fans that are still hammering home on that. We've interviewed Chad Brendel. If you don't believe everything that Chad Brendel said, or you don't believe that was the extent to what Cincinnati could have done, I totally understand that. I'm not saying that there's no way that they knew anything else and that they did everything they possibly could. But based on the information that we have, and until we get more, what we do know is that they did find out, and they approached him, and he lied about it, and they gave him counseling for it, or whatever class he needed to take. And that was the extent of it. Now, should they have done more? Okay, that's a different question. But Chad kind of also outlined that in his interview with us the other day. So when you show me that Scott Satterfield saw Brendan Sorsby was doing this and then he decided to play him anyways, well, then I'll react to that. But right now, all I'm seeing is Cincinnati knew, they got tipped off. There's multiple articles about it. I even see some fans who are trying to play gotcha with Cincinnati that post an article that clearly explains what Cincinnati did and why your argument doesn't have any weight. So yes, I think more needs to be looked into as far as the Cincy piece. And if it's looked into, which I'm sure it will be, and something comes out that they knew and Scott Satterfield needs to get fired or the AD needs to go, then you know who might be happier about that than anybody? Cincinnati fans, because I think they want some change anyways. And I'm kind of half joking.
Yeah, I'm only doing it because we know how people react to it. What you're saying, if anything is found that have been known and not done anything about it, then people's jobs could be on the line for that.
Of course, yes, because they were covering up something that they should have reported differently or better or whatever. So, and I think if Cincinnati fans saw that, they'd be like, all right, bye, John Cunningham. All right, bye, Scott Satterfield. Like, if you guys actually did do something, then prove it, though. Like, but prove it. And so maybe that's what comes out over the next few months is we have proof of the bets and he was placing and all that. We have Cincy's side of the story, but that's all we have. So I'm not going to keep hammering on them saying, what about Cincy? What about Cincy? I'll let everybody else do that. And then when something else comes out about Cincy that incriminates them further, then I will want to react to that. But in the meantime, I don't have any reason to say, what about Cincy outside of just what we've already kind of discussed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, right now, there are the emotions get a little bit out of whack. People don't listen to everything that either you or others or what I say or even what they're saying, and people want to look at just parts of a headline, etc. That's part of the way things are. But Cincinnati, and I trust Chad Brendel. I don't give a damn if he covers Cincinnati or not. That's why we had him on. I thought what he did was describe it. Now, he also said that maybe there should be a safety latch or something that maybe others could, if a player's flagged for gambling. We've been through all of that, but there's no proof yet that Cincinnati knew of anything other than what Chad Brendel told us on Friday, and that's it.
So if there's a smoking gun, then bang bang, let's see it. And when you pull it out and show it to the world that Cincinnati actually did know, and they still went forward with him, and they just pretended to not know, then we'll all react to that. And you know what? We'll all call for punishment for Cincinnati. But we don't have that. All we have is Cincinnati knew, and what do we know about what they knew? We know that they handled it. Now, we know people disagree with how much they handled it, but there's also limitations on what you can actually do, and that's what we'll get around to when we talk about what Cody Campbell had to say, because I think there is a connection there to this whole thing that doesn't absolve Cincy entirely, but explains their position and why it's not really that controversial about how they handled all this.
All right, let's break here, and we're going to come back with what you were talking about with Cody Campbell. We did an interview with a local reporter. It was lengthy. Also, Cincinnati now has responded to what the agent for Brendan Sorsby said earlier today. And so we'll get to that statement with them too.
And I just, the only thing I wonder, and I'm curious now to see what Cincinnati had to say. And I think there were a couple things that were of note from what Cody Campbell had to say, but why not bring up Indiana too? I mean, why? This is where it started. And I'm like, here's what I'm not doing. I'm not trying to say, well, what about Indiana? Like, I'm not trying to throw people under the bus willy-nilly. But, I mean, if you're going to include Cincinnati, then I think you've got to include Indiana as well. So if we're going to make sure everybody's being held accountable, let's hold everybody accountable. And if it turns out that Cincy did nothing wrong and Indiana did nothing wrong, and you know what? Texas Tech, we know they didn't do anything wrong. What they did wrong as far as Sorsby's this is just how they handled it, like the reaction to it.
We skipped right over this. They talk too much.
Yes, exactly.
The agent of Brendan Sorsby said Texas Tech did pretty much everything they're supposed to do.
Here you go.
Here we are. I think they were messed up. Where they messed up is they talk too much, and a lot of people will probably agree with that, and even I do.
Yeah.
If anyone, then he gets into the Cincinnati, and I think that part about Texas Tech, I think when it all said and done, Texas Tech will look back at it and even today, realize that maybe they talked a little bit too much.
Well, Cody Campbell kind of addressed that in the interview that he did with the local TV station. So I can address that part of it as well. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what Cincy said, and we got more to unpack here. I mean, we thought the story was kind of over, but there's at least some remnants, and it's still, I mean, I still just find it to be very interesting. It's not even one of those like okay, of course, if this happens in October, then it's not as front of mind because, well, hell, like Oklahoma's playing Texas this weekend or, you know, any other number of games, I'm going to be more focused on the ball. But, like this is partly a huge thing because of the timing of it all. But I still, if you would have placed this in December, I would have still been as fascinated by it. We might have not talked about it as much because we wouldn't have had time to because of all the games. But I find it a fascinating story, and so it's cool to continue to unpack it a little bit. But I know it's on its dying days.
Yeah, it is. It's starting to, and this today is just the next part of it, and there'll be all of a sudden then there'll be something else. So let's break. Thank you for being a part of what we do every day at 3:00 here on the Smoke Show, 365 Sports with Craig. I'm David. We do appreciate you. So let's come back with a couple of more notes. Look at some of what Cody Campbell said. And before that, Cincinnati has responded to Ron Slavin, calling them out earlier today. And thanks to 105.3 The Fan, RJ and Sean and Bobby for giving us the ability to run their video and audio. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Father's Day is coming up, and what do you have planned? Are you going out of town? Are you going to go on a vacation? Have you thought about getting, and this happens, that you're going to go on a trip. Maybe you're going to drive 1,000, 1,500 all around the country during the summer, and you want to look at getting a new vehicle. Trade yours in, get something new. Alan Samuels right now with the 2026 Ram 1500 Lone Star, up to $11,000 off MSRP and 2.9% APR financing for those who are qualified with your credit. 2.9% APR financing for 72 months, and that comes with approved credit. They have a pre-owned inventory. When I was on the lot, it was 6 years ago, looking to finally, I had to get a new vehicle. My My Chevrolet Tahoe had 400 and some thousand miles on it, and it was, good Lord, it was just barely starting every day. So I finally said, I'm going to go get a car. I was going to get a new car. And I'm walking around, and they would have probably liked for me to buy a new car, but I saw what I saw. It's a beautiful, good-looking, love the front, the look, the design of a 2017 Ford Explorer. That's not from them, but it was from them because it was pre-owned inventory. Alan Samuels, Father's Day weekend, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Broker is your Lennox Premier dealer. Right now, qualified buyers can make no payments and get no interest financing for 12 months on a new Lennox home comfort system. Conditions apply. Call Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating Specialists for details and a free estimate.
The reason that their service is outstanding because the people they have working, behind the desk and the folks working out in the garage, taking care of business. And they give you a date, they give you a time, and they're spot on. And they're professional, they take care of it, and they answer all your questions, and they're fun to work with.
Like Alan Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be
No intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
This 3 o'clock hour is brought to you by QC Kinetics. Feel better, move better, live better with regenerative medicine using your body's own healing abilities for natural pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. With locations in Dallas and Houston at QCkinetics.com. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
All right, so in this segment, we have a response from the University of Cincinnati to Ron Slavin and his calling them out earlier today on the radio station in Dallas. Here's the statement. Trey Wallace, by the way, is the one that put it up and then alerted me that it was up in on my timeline as well. So Cincinnati, Ron Slavin saying they kind of have gotten away with a few things here, released a statement on the allegations, regarding allegations that they knew of Brendan Sorsby's gambling while he was enrolled. We will reiterate what we have said before. All of our student athletes receive extensive gambling education multiple times throughout the year, and we would never knowingly play an athlete who violated NCAA sports wagering regulations. If we ever became aware of impermissible wagering, we would report it to the NCAA and comply with the sanctions.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's being as straightforward as they can. I mean, they're fully acknowledging and saying and putting themselves out there with a statement that if it turns out to be proven otherwise, I mean, they've kind of hung themselves here, saying that they would never knowingly do that. So they're saying we didn't know, we didn't play him, we certainly didn't know and play him, and we handled it the way that the guidebook tells us to handle it. Now, you can argue over the guidebook and whether there should be something added to it or some other element of background checks or whatever, but I'll get into that a little bit with the Cody Campbell interview here in a second. But yeah, I think it's great that Cincinnati responded. I think that they need to in a situation like this, because even though we've kind of tried to answer some of the Cincinnati questions, I still see that probably more than anything else from Tech fans, some Tech fans. And that's continued all the way up until last night. I was seeing it on a regular, just scrolling through, just like, well, what about Cincinnati? Every time Brendan Sorsby got brought up. So they're not letting that go. But I mean, I feel like all you got to do is just look a little bit deeper, and you see that Cincinnati's not like hiding. They're not running away from this. They've answered the questions at every turn. You just don't like the answer, and you don't believe, and most of all, you don't believe the answer is, I think, what it is. And I just don't believe that Cincinnati is some like giant boogeyman that's really like the mastermind, and they're like, "Who, we got away with it." I'm not giving them that credit. I'm just not going to do it. If I'm proven wrong eventually, then I will own the hell out of that, like I would anything else when I'm wrong about it. But for what information we do have, I'm satisfied with what Cincinnati has put forth. If you want to dig deeper and find something, then let's talk about it. But for right now, they've said what they've said, and they've stood on that statement and that the entire time.
And you can also not like how Texas Tech went about all of this, but I don't think they've said anything to us that wasn't true. We can disagree with perhaps what they said, what they were doing, what they tried to do, and all the other things, and how they went about trying to answer questions. And like, again, the round table was probably a very bad idea, or a lot of things. But I believe everything they've said about what they knew, when they knew it, and what they could do and what they've tried to do.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech's actually done pretty much everything you could ever have wanted and more, actually. Like I've said multiple times on this show over the last 2 weeks, Brendan Sorsby and his family better be forever grateful to the people of Lubbock, Texas, and the Texas Tech University, even though he'll never end up playing it down there, because they have put their reputations and potentially other things on the line. And I know I brought up like realignment as a thing last week, and I still maintain that. I think if there was a chance for you to have an opportunity in the relatively near future, I think your handling of that situation, I think that caused some damage. I think that would give a Michigan, and I'm not even talking about like how realistic it is, okay? Like, to be very clear, I'm not saying that was like on the cusp of happening or would even ever happen for that matter. But if there was a chance, which is what I always said, I think that's the kind of damage you were doing to yourself for the way you were reacting the last week and a half or so. And so that's a result of them defending him and defending their choices to defend him. And so, yeah, they had some self-inflicted damage, nothing they can't heal from, nothing they won't recover from. I think they'll be just fine, and they'll be fine sooner rather than later. And I think they're pretty relatively fine now outside of just some PR hits. But yeah, I think the Sorsby family better be kissing the feet of Texas Tech in a major way, because they got in the foxhole with them like not a lot of others probably would. And I understand Tech fans want to make it about somebody else, but I just don't think that Cincinnati is like some smoking gun. And so we'll see, because I don't think everybody's done digging. And again, there's the Indiana piece as well. We've heard far less from them than from anybody. And I'm not trying to like go, what about Indiana? But if we're going to say, what about Cincy? What about Indiana?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that when you have something you like or whatever, and you're protective of it. I get it. And then all of a sudden, but what about, there's a lot of whataboutisms. We hear about that. By the way, one note from Chad Brendel, and this is on the agent and Ron Slavin. And I don't know if we're going to get him on next week or if there's any other reason to get him on anymore. But the agent found out that there was a 7-figure buyout in the contract he negotiated the day Sorsby announced he was entering the portal. How would he not know about that? Or did he forget? Or was he just not going to maybe think that somebody would catch that like Cincinnati and let Brendan Sorsby walk out the door? All right, now here's Scott Satterfield, and Craig will have some notes from Cody Campbell on the interview he did yesterday evening. Scott Satterfield was being asked about how many calls he's taken, the interest now, probably already did before, but on Brendan Sorsby with possibility of the supplemental draft around the corner.
Yeah, there certainly have been scouts, GMs have reached out and just asking questions, and more on a personal level probably maybe than the football level with their interest, knowing that potentially something like this could happen. I certainly think now that the news is out, over the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot more inquiries about him.
What do you hope teams know about Brendan, the person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy, great teammate, worked hard, gave it his all. I think just obviously a unfortunate thing that happened with him. And again, hopefully he'll learn from it and grow from it.
All right, that's Scott Satterfield, Cincinnati football coach.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to really unpack there. He just was pretty matter of fact about the people calling him. And I'd imagine there's a lot of questions he's fielding from a lot of teams because I think Brendan Sorsby's an intriguing prospect for a lot of teams out there. Definitely don't think he'd be a 1-1 guy, even if he had gone out last year, as we saw how that draft kind of worked. Although I've seen I guess it was McAfee maybe. He was talking to whoever he was talking to, and they were talking about how maybe Sorsby would have been above Ty Simpson. That might have been where he found
13,
himself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely got a pro career so long as pro teams are willing to take him on, and he's not too radioactive because of the gambling thing, which, again, I said at the beginning of the show, I've seen differing opinions on that from certified NFL folks, like people who have connections that feel – as though the gambling thing is still very taboo. And then others like John McClain, who's like, oh, spare me, and is like so blatantly doesn't think it's going to matter at all to anybody.
And said that because he's not a part of the union, that they can't suspend him because he's not a part of the union.
Yeah, so I mean,
how that works.
Eye of the beholder, I guess, but somebody will definitely bring him on board because he is a very talented player. And yeah, so there's Cincinnati. I think they've been smart to kind of just answer questions when asked and not go too on the offensive and just kind of sit back, take all the arrows, and then when you're questioned, have an answer ready. And so far, Cincinnati has. So if you want to show me something different, like I said, then we can react to that. But as of now, I just don't think there's anything to really react to in terms of Cincinnati other than a hunch that they knew and then they played him anyways. I have no way to prove that.
All right. Cody Campbell did an interview with the local TV station. It was a great get for them and asking him a lot of different questions. I saw a summary or two, but I did not listen to it. I saw part of it, and then I got involved in some other things I had to do. But, Craig, give me the cliff notes of what perhaps most interesting or what stood out to you.
So he was on KAMC, which I want to say when I lived out there was like KMAC is what they called it. But I maybe that's revisionist history. I don't know. My brain wasn't always operating clearly out in Lubbock, Texas. But Grace Gates, I do know that is the reporter's name that interviewed Cody Campbell for KMAC, KAMC out there. And it was like a 20-minute or so interview and just some of the bullet points from it. I guess the most notable thing that I took away from it was when she did kind of ask him about like, what more could you guys, was there anything more that you guys could have done? And you keep bringing this up like, well, you could have hired us somebody or done us something else, or you could have done this. And I keep telling you like, well, yeah, there's laws in place. There's only so much you can do in a lot of situations. You can't just like hire a private detective to follow him around 24. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know. I think there's just some barriers there. And so you play within those barriers if you're a college football team doing a background check. And so he said that Tech did background checks.
Okay.
And he said that they got verified on him being brought into the program and the person he was and how he would fit and the makeup of him and like all of the things that you would want to know that you're demanding to know and others are feeling like they should have known or whatever. They found that out in large part through talking to people directly next to him, like the closest people around him, his former, like the people you would talk to when you do a background check. That's who they talked to. And they got rave reviews on him as a young man and heard nothing negative. And they felt great about his fit and not just as a football player, but as a person at Tech. And they did a background check. And you know what his answer was when, for why, like, and I don't know how exactly it was in order or how maybe even the question was phrased. But if you go watch it, he talks about how Tech did a background check. They did everything that they could seemingly do. And then, like, I don't know if it was a follow-up or as a part of the same answer, but as far as the question of, well, what else could have done? Cody Campbell said he hit it. There was nothing more we could do. And it's like, exactly. So Texas Tech did what they were supposed to do. They did a background check. They talked to people close to him, but guess why they didn't find out? Because he hid it, because that's what an addict does when they're trying to cover their tracks. And that's what we've been saying over and over again, especially with the, well, what about so-and-so? What about, he hid it. He was an addict hiding his illegal behavior. And so Cody Campbell just said it. And the moment he said it, I felt like a nuclear bomb went off, because I was like, yes, of course. But just to hear you actually acknowledge that and just say it so simply, it was just like this, I can't even describe this wave of just like, of course, that washed over me. So yeah, he hit it. There was nothing more that they could do. He also acknowledged that the pressure from the Big 12 mattered. He didn't get into the specifics of how all that went. He didn't even, I think, mention Ken Paxton or Jeffrey Kessler, or even really bring up their role in kind of going on the offensive late last week. But he did say that when Tech finally had to go talk to Brendan and say the conversation that led to him ultimately not playing football, they were feeling such pressure that they had to go to him and be like, look, dude, like this is like, we don't know where this is going. And so your best options at this point, it's probably to go in the supplemental draft, because we don't know how this legal stuff is going to play out. We don't know how long this is going to go. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know if they could turn around in a month and say, you guys can't play in Arlington no matter what. We don't know if they can't, like, and he didn't say these exact words, but this is what he was inferring, was like, we don't know if they're going to like make us forfeit all the games you play in. Like they had no clue of what the other side of this looks like. And that scared them to the point that it's like, this isn't worth it for any of us. Like, because even if we win, it might all get taken away and not count, right? In the long run. Basically, Tech felt such a pressure, and then this wild card of what the Big 12 suddenly had as far as leverage goes. And I think once Monday hit and they got that letter at 7, 8 a.m., whenever that was, that Brett Yormark sent that out or made that phone call to Lawrence Skuvenik, I believe it was, that's when the worm turned on this thing. That's when Tech was suddenly like, like we might be in a pickle here, and that's what's led to all this. So, yeah, the pressure from the Big 12 absolutely mattered and was a big deal in where we are now today. He did say, as far as what Tech could have done better, he didn't feel as though they did anything wrong. He didn't say, maybe I should have backed off a little bit. Instead, he said that they could have done better storytelling on the front end, is what he said. That they could have painted a better picture of the problems he was dealing with. And he was very big in saying that second chances matter, and that in college sports, like, second chances get lost these days. And that's a big deal to him, and a big part of why they did what they did and how they stood by him the way that they did. And that he just believes that in this chaotic world that second chances should matter for young people. And that if they could have done something differently, it would have been to tell more of a story in the beginning, to maybe paint the picture for people so they don't react as crazily as they did. I'm not sure there's any story they could have really told that would have made anybody change their mind once he gets away with gambling, basically. But that was Cody Campbell upon some reflection, just saying, yeah, we could have told a better story in the beginning. And then the second chances part, I agreed with him. The only part I just sort of, I guess, would add on to that would be, I do know exactly where you're coming from with that, and I do think we got to be careful with young people, not just to toss them to the side like they're just one and done the moment they make a mistake, because I wouldn't be here if that was the case. I think Cody Campbell acknowledged he wouldn't probably be where he is if he just got thrown on the street for a mistake he made when he was 18 years old. I don't think most people probably would be. The only thing I would say, though, is I was an 18-year-old who's just a regular 18-year-old. Brendan Sorsby's made millions of dollars. Like, that's the difference. And he is – and you know what, folks, what this story shows? This is what happens when you professionalize these athletes now. It's not just the poor kid on scholarship who's making the same as his third-string center and their roommates and their – Mox and Billy Bob from Varsity Blues at the college level. This isn't like all pure and genuine and all this anymore. It's like, no, he's making millions of dollars. And so he knows better, and he's getting full gambling education, and he's still breaking the rules. And so that's where I'm like, second chance, I do agree, but I don't think that takes the heat off him entirely. But I do agree with the premise of it. He then went on to say just a couple more things here.
On having money and gambling, whether you're a 22-year-old student athlete or whatever, you've been inside a casino. I've been inside a handful of casinos. And I know that I feel a lot more comfortable about gambling when I know I can lose the money. Does that make sense? So when you have even more of it, that means you kind of feel invincible, even if you go on a bad run, that you put a lot more down, whether it's the slots or it's a poker table or roulette or whatever. So I could see where that could be a problem for a student athlete who all of a sudden is getting couple of $100,000, or in this case, $3 or $4 or $5 million.
Yeah, but it's also, you now have a responsibility.
Doesn't make it right. Yeah,
you have a responsibility where, yes, you are a young person, but now you and your representatives and the people in this system have now positioned you to where you are, yes, still. But I mean, let's also say he started doing this when he was. Well, no, he wasn't even of age yet, right? Like, at least in Indiana, he wasn't of age, if I remember correctly.
The timeline.
Yeah, but he was like 18 or whatever. And now he's like 22. So, I mean, yes, he's still a young person. I still was dumb at that point, but I was also still somewhat of an adult too. You know what I mean? Like, so let's not act like though he's some 16-year-old that just got his license and got his first fender bender. Like, it's a bit bigger than that. And especially when you're talking about that these athletes want to be treated like pros. Well, here's the pro treatment is when you do something wrong. I'm not saying for it's right or wrong, but I think that's also what kind of came with this story. But I do agree with him. We got to be careful with young people and second chances. I just think he doesn't deserve a second chance for what he did. That's, again, what we go back to. That's the core of this is it's the action, not the person necessarily that everybody's revolting over. So then the last couple things, he said Texas Tech didn't do anything wrong. He said they got a lot of unfair accusations. He got a lot of unfair accusations personally, and they caught the brunt of the backlash. And he just seemed to sound like he was handling it fine, but you could kind of tell like that. I think that made his and everybody else's head spin a little bit of just how much of a wave they were hit with of reaction. And not that they didn't withstand it or handle it, but I just think it was a lot to have to deal with.
I don't care how much money you have, how big a boy you think you are, how much power you might have, man, the heat is heat.
Yeah.
I mean, from all the directions,
Yeah.
some of it you, of course, help light yourself. But he's just being honest about it.
No one is immune from public opinion unless they're like the dictator of North Korea or something, right? Where it's just stomped out entirely. But if the North Korean people could make their voices heard, then he would feel that, right? Like anybody would. You can't drown out hundreds of thousands of millions of people when they're all setting their targets on you. So, yeah, no matter how many billions you have or how much influence you have, you're going to feel that. And Texas Tech felt that. And so he's maintaining they didn't do anything wrong. And they got a lot of unfair accusations. And he got a lot of unfair accusations. He didn't get into the details of it, but he was accused of everything from paying off the judge to rigging the judge to, this, that, and the other. Like, was all out there and is still out there. You can go find it. And then the last thing was that he felt as though big picture, the NCAA needs. He talked a little bit about the act they're trying to get pushed through, and I've seen a lot of back and forth. Like, I almost don't want to talk about that too much because I don't know what to believe anymore. I
don't want to because talk about the Save College Sports Act or whatever.
But like, I don't even know if it's good anymore. I see detractors.
It's going in front of some people tomorrow. There were some arguments about it last night.
Tuberville came out against it.
In due time.
Yeah, but like even when it passes, like I'm not sure if it's even good though at this point. Like I just don't know. But he kind of touched on that for a second. That's not of interest. He did say the NCAA needs to keep up more with the times, that there's some nuance now with sports gambling, for example, and the fact that, yes, all of these kids that come in as freshmen now, half of them probably have DraftKings on their phones, and they're 18 and they can gamble where they come from. And there is, I think, more to be done as far as, in his opinion, the NCAA being understanding of like current situations and being ready to treat those and take those head on and not be kind of behind the times and reactionary. So I don't think there's anything too polarizing about that. I think that, yeah, that's probably a valid opinion, if not criticism. But yeah, that was the gist of it. So the biggest thing to me was the pressure from the Big 12 absolutely mattered. And the other part that was the big deal was that, yeah, he hit it. There was nothing more Tech could do to find out that he was gambling because he hit it. And Cody Campbell just flat out said that. So I think that's what in Cincinnati, he hit it. Why didn't Indiana? He hit it. Like that's the answer, I think.
All right. Good stuff, Craig. Thank you very much. So we've got to weave in and out. By the way, last thing, and then we break. John Kurtz is going to join us in the next segment. I hope you can wait through the break because we need to take one. Rez, do you have the picture of Will Hammond? Because I want to make a point here. So obviously Brendan Sorsby is gone. He's headed to most likely the NFL supplemental draft. And so the face of the program, and there could be others, but Will Hammond, I saw this earlier on the timeline, proud to represent a program backed by the best people in the country, asking fans, donors, alums, whoever to support Texas Tech. And I just thought that was cool that he's the one on it. I know that's minuscule in the bigger picture, but using him because he is the next man up based on when he's ready to come back from the injury. When we come back, John Kurtz, and of course, he has the newsletter and the podcast covering the Big 12. He'll join us next. His thoughts. This is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, used to be. And all of that, working and trying to find out if you have a problem with a low T number. He's also a family doctor. He could help you with that too, with checkups, physicals, etc. If you have a cold, flu, whatever, he can do that too. Dr. Kent Petty can help you though when it comes to low T, if that is your issue, why your energy is not very good. If in fact you have ED, your sex drive's not the same, or you can't perform at all. Those things can be embarrassing. It's part of life. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone, and maybe that's you. Contact him, pettycliniclowt.com. Tell him I sent you. He will then set you up to get your blood work. He will get the blood results and your T level, and if it's too low, he could put you in a program so that you could become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
It's in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Celebrate American value and American quality during the Red, White, and Blue sales event at Richard Carr.
Awards such as Best Interior, Total Quality, Reliability, and Best Resale Value. The Buick Envista turns heads at price points well below cars in the same category. Right now, save $2,000 on the already value priced 2026 Buick Envista. Plus, well-qualified buyers get 0.9% financing.
Drive American quality and get American savings during the Red, White, and Blue sales event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more. Pepperoni Magnifico. Pepperoni Magnifico. Marco's Pepperoni Magnifico. Classic and crispy cut pepperoni, 3 melty cheeses, all on our fresh made dough. And starting at just $12.99 for a large, it's no wonder Marco's was named America's favorite pizza chain.
This 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by Stonewood Dental, your one-stop shop for your dental needs, specializing in teeth cleaning, fillings, crowns, sealants, root canals, IV sedation, extractions, implants, bridges, dentures, full mouth restorations, and bioaesthetic dentistry. Our priority is your comfort from the moment you walk through the front door. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
Here we go, this 4 o'clock hour, and a full mouthful of a lot from the first hour, from Brendan Sorsby's agent to Cincinnati responding to what Cody Campbell saying last night, and John Kurtz with us, Open for Business again, Big 12 podcast and newsletter, joins us on the show today. John, thanks for your patience. I appreciate you being a part of the show. There you are. We're getting to the point where this thing's going to flame out in some way, but there's always like something a little bit new to scratch. Your thoughts about hearing from the agent today, who seemed like, yes, he's protecting his client, promoting his client, but I thought that maybe he was a little bit bitter.
Yeah, well, great to talk to you guys again. I appreciate you having me on. In fairness to the agent, I have not heard the interview in full. I definitely saw some of the quotes, and I heard one of the clips where he was talking predominantly about, I think the one that's generated the most attention, where he was talking about Texas Tech, Cincinnati, and then Sorsby and some of the proliferation of sports gambling here. So I definitely get the gist. Look, I can understand as an agent, like your job is to stick up for your guy. Your job is to deflect a bit here in this scenario. So I'm certainly not up in arms, offended, or upset really by anything that he said. And he makes a decent point on Cincinnati. Like I know that what we have seen so far through like court documents was that basically Prohibit did trigger for Cincinnati a couple of years ago, and they questioned Sorsby about it, and he didn't tell the truth. And so they gave him a little bit of gambling education at that point, and then everybody moved on. I get if you want to be skeptical and say, hey, they could have pressed more, they should have done more. And if people want to do an investigation, the NCAA, problem is, I'm just like, I say the NCAA do an investigation. I don't know what they really can and can't do anymore. But if somebody wants to investigate it, or if somebody wants to say, hey, they should be taking some heat for that, I'm open to it. Some of this Texas Tech fans just have to learn is like, hey, to the victor go the spoils. You're the bigger program. You're the bigger deal right now. That's why people care more about you than Cincinnati in this respect. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Like the big boys have been dealing with this for a long time. They're going to get more attention when the spotlight is bigger on them there. I think the agent, I get why he would say, hey, like, look, Joey McGuire is a great dude. Like you talk to, say what you will about Texas Tech. If you talk to Joey McGuire in person, he is delightful. I've really enjoyed talking with him in the past at Big 12 Media Days, and it's easy to see why he is a really good dude. And so I'm sure the agent feels like, hey, from our standpoint, like Texas Tech was as great as they possibly could have been. Everybody was fully supportive of Brendan Sorsby, and Texas Tech did do a great job from the interest, in terms of the interest of Brendan Sorsby. They did an excellent job, I think, on their end for all of that. So I get why the agent does feel that way. He also led on to, I think, the biggest problem. And we talked about some of this the last time I was on there. Texas Tech talked too much. Like they make it. I told them last time I was on your show, this is what I say, 3 things. Say, we think it's best for him to be here. We think it's best for us to win football games if he's here. And the judge says he can be here. So that's our statement, and let it go. And I think they would have been in a much better spot. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. So he hit the nail on the head there about Texas Tech. And finally, if in an ideal world, I guess you'd like him to say like, hey, Brendan should definitely have to learn from his actions and take some, but it's his agent. He's going to make the case for Sorsby. And a big piece of that case, like I'm not here to argue at all with what he's saying about these are like 18 to 21-year-old kids being totally marketed to from the gambling companies. Your phone is already insanely addictive. We're all addicted to our phones. And now you're piling a gambling addiction on top of that and throwing a bunch of disposable income at these guys. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Now, again, I would still say big difference between, okay, I'm addicted to sports gambling and then betting on my own team. But still, I understand how that gets really addictive, and there are different pressures there. And I know he says there's more that's going to come to light. That's where I would actually stop him and be like, hey, man, like, I talked to Ryan Hyatt, who's covered Texas Tech for a long time and has worked in the gambling world some. And he was like, they need to be careful. The FBI sometimes lets people do their work for them, and then they come in at the end on these things. Like, who knew what about what Brendan Sorsby was gambling? Not that he was throwing games, but just that there are consequences that happen because they can figure out a student athlete's betting on games. So the long story short there is you might not want to say there's more that's going to come out to this story. But yeah, I don't have like a huge issue with what he said, and it was interesting to hear from his agent.
So, John, when it comes to the Big 12, I mean, pretty good deal for them, right? I mean, they got the life raft, the assist thrown their way from Ken Paxton last week. We were talking to you. I mean, Tech had thrown gasoline on this thing. They're like, it sounded like they were getting the troops ready for war. And then the Big 12 responds the way they do. What a banner moment for, I think, your mark and the rest of the schools to kind of be able to establish, like, doesn't matter who you are, when this happens or whatever, like, we're going to be able to police our own, which is something we just don't see in college football a lot these days.
Yeah. Huge win for the Big 12. And it's not like I don't think it's a zero-sum game where it has to be like the Big 12 wins at Texas Tech's expense necessarily. But it's a huge win for the Big 12 because I think there are a lot of different ways you can go with that. But for one, they executed brilliant legal strategy, and a BYU grad, as many BYU fans have pointed out, that made that happen. But, I saw Tom Mars, who's one of the really high-profile attorneys out there representing Jerome Tang right now, for instance. He called it extremely brilliant. I talked to an attorney that I know who used the same word to describe that legal strategy, and it absolutely is what got Texas Tech to back down. And kudos to the Big 12 for like having the gumption to stick by their guns, because I was sitting here saying, like, I get why they're incredibly upset. I'm upset by this whole thing, but I didn't think the juice would be worth the squeeze on really pursuing this. And if you're running the risk of being like the ACC for a while, a couple of years ago when they had dueling lawsuits with multiple teams in their conference, right? Like, nobody wants that hanging over them. And so I thought, I don't know that I would push this. They clearly knew what they were doing and felt like their legal representation. I'm sure there were a ton of meetings with them, and they got convinced. Brett Yormark and everybody involved was convinced, hey, they know what they're doing here. They're going to do something really smart, and this strategy is going to work. And it did. And I think in this world where, look, it's great that Texas Tech has a Cody Campbell that is making things happen for them. They are certainly in a much better off spot with him than without him. But I do think there's a perception that, like, the way he operates, very loud, boisterous, can be kind of throw his weight around. I guess I'll stop short of saying a bully, but he can really throw his weight and money and power around in a lot of different ways. And you're seeing that even at the highest levels of college sports right now. But Brett Yormark in the Big 12 did not let themselves get bullied by him. And they stood their ground, and it totally worked. And one thing, I just think Texas Tech, you're going to have to take some good and some bad with this, because you brought up the Ken Paxton piece. I would guess that was, at least in some way, if not directed by Cody Campbell, motivated by the relationship that Paxton and Cody Campbell have. And that feels to me like a misfire from that side when you're trying to overextend yourself and use that money and power that you have, and maybe have been a little over accustomed to it always working. And Brett Yormark showed some real savvy to, on his end, make that work. And for Texas Tech, it's like, when I see then after the fact that Cody Campbell puts out the statement. I know he's the chairman of the board. I get it, but I can't remember seeing a statement on behalf of an athletic department from a chairman of the board ever before. I get why. I saw somebody tweeted, a college football reporter, I'm sorry, I'm going to mess up the attribution here. I think it was Alex Kirshner, who said, basically, Texas Tech appears to have an owner. That they have an owner. This is like a college sports team with an owner, and it's Cody Campbell, because he released the statement that's then retweeted by Kirby Hocutt in the athletic department. And Tom Mars, very derisively pointed out that it used the word I or me 13 times, I think, in it. So you're going to get some good and some bad with that, Texas Tech. More good than bad, generally. But I do think this was a really instructive exercise for both Yormark and his abilities, and then what Texas Tech is going to be and the influence that is there with Campbell. Because, again, remember, Tom Fernelli from the Cover 3 podcast at one point put out last week that he was having people in the Big 12 tell him they thought Kirby Hocutt wasn't even on board with this, didn't want to do this, but felt like he had to keep his job, by the people that are, I guess, running the show in Lubbock. So you just start adding all this up, and it's pretty eye-opening. I think we all had an idea of that, but this definitely put it out there more so.
Yeah, and I'm with you. No scoreboarding on Tech, but you do kind of take some losses in the process of this all, including losing Brendan Sorsby's eligibility. But yeah, it could have gotten. I mean, John, I was morbidly fascinated in what this was going to look like if it continued forward. Like if they don't decide to get super aggressive at the end of the last week and they just let the weekend ride out and there's nothing for the Big 12 to respond to, what are we talking about today? What are we talking about as we get closer to media days? I mean, this could have gotten really crazy. Part of me is damn, I wish we could have seen that. But the other part of me is well, this is what's best for everybody. And I think this was the easiest way for everything to kind of heal itself ultimately, quickly. And sure, there's going to be some hard feelings, I think, on the Texas Tech side for some that will never go away. But I think they're better together and they need each other. I think Texas Tech and the Big 12 need each other to be their best versions of themselves.
This is undoubtedly the best resolution for everybody. It's not the most interesting resolution for everybody.
Yeah,
kind of the point that you're making. Had this dragged on into media days coming up in just a couple of weeks, I can't even imagine how you gauge what the temperature is going to be there and who's going to say what, and you've had Cody Campbell going around doing interviews at media days before, what would be the war of words happening potentially there, or would they not be able to say much because of pending litigation and stuff that's going on? I just don't know, but that's why, I feared the ACC situation because that carried a news cycle, for a good solid year, what was going on with the lawsuits and everything in court there. But this is, you're absolutely right. Temperatures have been hot between the Big 12 and Texas Tech for a while now, going back to the tortilla incident and the Friday night game against Houston. And now here we are with Brendan Sorsby. Both do need each other. Texas Tech doesn't have any other offers right now to go anywhere else. They are certainly the team that draws the most interest in the Big 12 right now at this point in time, for the last 365 days or even less than that, actually. This snapshot in time, they are that team. So, yes, both parties do definitely. It is best for everybody to just let this go and, hey, let's go play some football. And by the way, I love, showing the graphic of Will Hammond there. Texas Tech's still going to have a good team. Will Hammond still when healthy, I think can be a really good quarterback. He has displayed a very high ceiling. Now, if you're Tech, you can just move on and focus on that. Get Will Hammond ready to go. You don't have to deal with all the sideshow that was going on with Sorsby and a potential legal battle. Just imagine that hanging over the team too, for the next couple of months as they go into the season. That would have been a huge distraction.
I was thinking about what it was going to be like to even talk to Joey McGuire at media days if this was still ongoing.
I've just traded a couple of texts with him. I asked him about the mood on Monday night when he informed the team that Brendan Sorsby was not going to play for them. And he said it's kind of quiet. It's kind of a tight-knit team. And so, there's probably a little bit of disappointment, maybe even a little bit of anger, and they can carry that forward all they want to. But I look forward to it with him because but
it would have been impossible to sit there and be like, hey, Joey, how's your secondary look? So,
exactly right. And I would have, the only thing I wanted to see if it would have carried into the second week, I guess, in July, is Cody Campbell and Brendan Sorsby walking in with big gold chains around their neck and Diego Pavia or something.
Bill Self style.
Yeah. John, in the years you've covered the Big 12, and I don't know how many media days you've been to, but we've been to a bunch. What was there was always a little bit of the Texas and OU, or were they leaving? Are they not? And there was A&M and Missouri. No one knew that until after media days. There was the Baylor summer in 2016, which of course was really rough. for Baylor. Have any other like controversies come about that you remember during media days the last 10 or 15 years, however long you've covered it? Craig, you?
It's a really good question. You're making me think now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the crazy thing is my biggest media day memory that's like seared into my brain is, yes, you're totally right. Like the Texas and Oklahoma story broke immediately after. Yeah, it was like late July, but
they had to come back.
What I will never forget is that right before that, Bob Bowlesby. So at that point, the realignment talk had really finally kind of subsided, because there was a big long news cycle about when there was talk of adding someone from the G5 ranks there for a while when, I don't know, that was probably 2016, 17-ish in that range. And then that had all sort of died down and realignment just wasn't like a popular topic. No one was really talking about it at all. And I remember Bob Bowlesby toward the end of his press conference, I want to say he got asked about it and it wasn't him bringing it up on his own, but he basically made a little joke. Someone will have the direct quote, but he made kind of a little joke like, well, finally, we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then, it was literally like 2 weeks later that it broke that Texas and Oklahoma were leaving. And so I just remember being like, God, the second that you think you can, in this conference, that you can relax and nothing is going to happen and nothing's going to be going on, all of a sudden you get the rug completely pulled out from under you. And then obviously, that was not a good look for him and for people to go back to once that happened.
Yeah, I mean, just crazy times, John. Like this story, I know it's like the dead of the off season, but I just found this story really interesting, just throughout and where we now find ourselves. So it's got me more ready for the season than I think anything could have possibly kind of ramped up towards media days. It was this. So yeah, man, just what are your thoughts now, I guess, moving forward? Do you think there's more to come as far as just unpacking this thing? Do we need to double, triple, quadruple check Cincinnati again? Like, do we just move on now? What do you think the news cycle kind of brings in regards to this story and the Big 12?
Yeah, part of me definitely wants to just move on. And the other question I would raise about Cincinnati is like, again, I kind of half-heartedly raised this earlier. I'm like, does the NCAA have power anymore? Like, can they investigate them and actually do something? Like, I don't know. Does Cincinnati have to be lawyering up right now and getting ready to go to court and I don't know exactly how that would work or where that would go. But like I said, I'm open to, I get why people would say, hey, Cincinnati is the school in here who was most in position probably to do something. You could say Indiana too. I don't know. This was different coaching staff, different regime at that point. I don't know if they were using Prohibet or how that, all was working back then at that point. And Swordsby was such a, back into the roster player. I don't know. I don't personally have like a ton of interest in this drawing out longer and longer. I would rather start talking about the actual football stuff, but I'm also, I think the best point that angry, frustrated Texas Tech fans made the entire time was like, hey, somebody asked some questions about what's going on at Cincinnati too. So I don't blame them for that. And I think they're in the right to say that. I don't know. It feels to me, at least by what we saw in the court docs, that Cincinnati seems to have some pretty good plausible deniability here on what they did or didn't know. But maybe there's more. If there's more digging to be done here, maybe there actually is something you could find there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, though. I'm ready for it to kind of start winding down and us to start focusing on games. And I'm glad this resolved itself before media days. As interesting as that would have been just kind of probably almost too crazy. So, man, look forward to seeing you there in, I guess, about, 3 weeks or so? You're going to be there, right? I'm assuming?
I will be there. And yeah, I think 3 weeks from from this past Tuesday. So, yeah, we're just under 3 weeks away, I believe. Yep.
Cool, man. So plenty of time for everything to hit the fan again before then. Or
I was gonna say, we just let's not jinx this whole thing, man. I mean, we got to be a little careful.
It will be fun, and looking forward to having you, seeing you, talking to you, and all the other players and coaches. Ought to be interesting because the ADs have made their feelings known. We'll see some of them. We'll see. I'm sure Kirby Hoke up there too. Thank you very much, John. Have a great week, buddy.
Hey, appreciate it, boys. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate John Kurtz joining us today on many things to get his view as well. And some of you in the chat, that doesn't mean all of you, but some of you, and maybe it does, that really enjoy it when he joins us on 365 Sports.
Yeah, in the process of just being kind of around for years and years and covering, you meet a lot of folks and folks from other schools covering other schools and all that, and you get to meet some cool people, and I've really enjoyed meeting John and getting to see him on occasion and his work and what he does, and a guy that definitely loves K-State, loves the Big 12, loves college football. So always good to chat with him and various others that we talked to throughout the course of the year as well. But there's a good lot of media. Chris Williams out names. That's our Iowa State guy. Shout out to Brent Bloom as well. And it could go on and on to most every school, I think. Like, I don't know if we probably got like a buddy or two at pretty much every school.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
no,
but
no.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody here in about 3 weeks and just kind of being around. And that's when you start to feel of like, we're not quite there. There's still like maybe another couple vacation days to take between then and the start of football season. But it does, you kind of hear the drums start beating in the distance that, all right, it's not here, but it's getting closer. And there's typically always something pretty interesting. But yeah, that would have been just an absolute ordeal had Texas Tech rolled in feeling the way they felt at the end of last week, but carrying that over for another month and then rolling into Big 12 meetings. Like, I just don't know. Yeah, well, that would have been so awkward and strange, I think, if this been unresolved. So I know there's still going to be hard feelings. I know there's Tech fans that would love to leave the Big 12 right this very moment if they possibly could, and they're not going to stop feeling that way no matter how many Big 12 titles they may win in a row. But, yeah, I think for the health of the league, for the health of Texas Tech, quite frankly, I think this was the best resolution. And like he put it very well, what I was trying to say, not the most interesting resolution, but the best resolution for the people involved. I think, yeah, that's what we ultimately landed on. And we'll see if there's anything, any other toothpaste to squeeze out of this tube. There may not be. We may be at the end of the road with it, especially after the back and forth today. But I do think Cincinnati's going to probably have to get like an all clear. Like at some point, Brett Yormark's going to have to maybe come out and say, look, y'all don't want to believe them, so believe me. Like, we've looked into it.
The problem is the only ones that don't believe them are probably mostly Texas Tech fans.
So they won't believe otherwise.
But there are others. I've seen some national writers have said, hey, wait a minute. The good news is I'm glad we covered that a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've answered on their end, and it's just maybe you don't like the answers. But, yeah, fascinating story that today had more chapters added to it or more pages added to it, and who the heck knows what turns up next. We're at least going to be talking about Brendan Sorsby trying to get in the supplemental draft and whatever that looks like. And obviously there's some elements that still maybe unresolved, like with Cincinnati, although we feel kind of on our end like it's been answered on their part. But yeah, I've been fascinated for the last 3 weeks, and what a story and what a ride it's been talking about this and just watching everything sort of unfold day by day.
All right, so here we are. It's 4:30. Craig and David Smoke, the Smoke Show, 365 Sports. When we come back, the Big 12 fined both Kansas State and Iowa State, remember, for opting out of bowl games. They felt like they had good reasons. We'll see what's the latest on that. And I got a note. I was like, let's do something X's and O's. The Big 12 turnover margin from 2025, and some of the numbers are going to blow you away and where that stood compared to those at the top and the bottom. Of course, teams that win are going to have a pretty good plus and minus. We'll do that and more. And check in with the College Baseball World Series. Couple of coaches last night getting down into the emotions deep in their soul about what Omaha and the College World Series means to them. That and more, and this is 365 Sports. North Star Funding Partners. Have you heard about the new IRA? North Star Funding Partners can help you. Let's say you're young and you're making pretty good cash. Let's say you're young and you're doing really well, but you haven't really set up enough yet for you to be able to take that money and efficiently use it for you down the road with not just a savings account, but much more. The new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage, is a solution for younger, high-income clients and small business owners who want to save money for retirement It is a strategy designed to provide the opportunity for guaranteed tax-free income, retirement income, legacy protection, and capital efficiency, all without needing ultra-high net worth status to qualify. How do you find out more? Are you interested? If you are, here's what you do. Here's a number. I don't do a lot of numbers, but it's on the screen so you can write it down. 623-256-6902. Or you can do it as simple. NorthstarFundingPartners.com. Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the SMOAK Show. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports with David Smoke and Craig Smoke.
West Virginia's done at the College Baseball World Series, but what a run it was by beating Troy. They get to that double elimination bracket against unbeaten North Carolina. They were down 12-0, lose 12-7. They had a 5-run seventh and tried to make it interesting, but they buried themselves too deep. But what a great run it's been for Sabins, the head coach, and West Virginia Mountaineers fans. 12-7, North Carolina now moves on to the championship round.
Yeah, I mean, what a run for West Virginia. Disappointing to end anywhere else but in the first place national championship spot when you've come this far. But no reason to hang their heads. First trip out there, didn't go home empty-handed, and you just went home at the hands of a really good North Carolina team that, jumped all over them early on, got all over that West Virginia pitching, and built a big lead that was just insurmountable, although West Virginia tried their damnedest to make a crazy comeback there. But, just not enough, too little, too late for them. And UNC moves forward, and West Virginia heads back to Morgantown, but they head back with some more banners to hang and some cool accomplishments, and I'm sure a lot of really cool memories as well. And they gave a lot of great memories to their fan base and just people in general. John Denver was all the rage last week, thanks to them, and was one of the cooler scenes to watch in the super regional round. So, nothing to be sad about other than just cry. Or what is the phrase? Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Whatever that kind of stupid.
Well,
that's kind of what I would say though for West Virginia.
Well, we're going to get to that in a minute with a couple of comments from coaches. The other game tonight is Georgia at Oklahoma. OU beat them earlier in the week, so Georgia has to win tonight to force another game. And then last night, Georgia, man, they just neutered UT offensively. They won 7-1, and then they won 2-0 last night. Here's a note from Jim Schlossnagle, who's been at TCU, Texas A&M, and of course at UT. He has among coaches with the most College World Series victories. And Mike Martin at Florida State was well known for having deep runs at Florida State, going deep in the tournament, but they could never win the national title. We've got a graphic on 3 coaches who have won the most games in the College Baseball World Series. One is FSU's Mike Martin. One is Gary Ward at Oklahoma State. And then also Jim Schlossnagle. Martin had 22. Gary Ward had 19, and Jim Schlossnagle has 18. And they all have the most wins, but yet not able to win the College World Series championship. So that's a note. And I thought we had a graphic on that. That's okay. Now, let's get to the audio. After the game, UT's Jim Schlossnagle was discussing the popularity at this particular time of college baseball.
Golden age of college baseball. I don't know how you can watch the College World Series and the regionals and the super regionals and look at the excitement on the campuses and the investment from obviously places like Texas and the SEC schools, but Troy and West Virginia. I mean, how can you not want to be a part of that? And, no disrespect to professional baseball. I'd never spent a day in professional baseball, but college athletics and the spirit around college baseball right now, in my experience, like I've seen programs cut and no scholarships, and now we have extra scholarship money, and people are building stadiums in places like West Virginia are drawing such great crowds. It's such a great sport, and how someone would not want to be a part of that, it just amazes me. So kudos to the administrations at all the schools that are investing in college baseball.
2-0 Georgia. They knock out Texas, beating them both times they met. Here's a note, the 2 times they played, Craig, Texas had 61 games they played this year in baseball. They were held without an extra base hit twice. Saturday against Georgia and last night against Georgia. And Georgia's pitching obviously was dominant.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Georgia has UT's number to some degree. And, that's a crazy stat. I was just reflecting on the Jim Schlossnagle has still not won a College World Series. I was thinking you were wrong about that because he's just won so much.
There we go.
I was thinking that you were wrong. And no, I mean, you are right that he's never won one, but he's just had so much success. It feels like he's won it once or twice at this point. So, yeah, that's wild to have that many wins and still not even second place, although he's awfully close now at this point. Feels like one of those things that you just keep chipping away. You'll eventually get there, but as Mike Martin shows, maybe not. So I'm sure UT will pour every resource they have, and they have more than most for any sport. They will pour as much as they possibly can into that program to try to improve the offense or just get better in the areas that they feel they need to. So they'll be back. He'll either add more to this or eventually they're going to break through, just like with women's basketball. and
Softball.
like they typically do with softball and other examples that you could give. But those two primary examples of, they just chipped away, got really close. And I think baseball will probably ultimately end up the same way, because they're too big, they're too resourced, and they're too historically good to not have. And he's too historically good.
Well, they've won championships in baseball,
together.
but
the combination is just too good to not crack through and win. And if that doesn't happen, then that'll be crazy to look back on his career and think that he accomplished all that he did, but couldn't. He's just that one of those guys that could not get that final thing. That's like the only missing thing. But they're going to be back. He's got a lot of years left, I think. But pressed by Georgia and their pitching, and I know that based on reading some of the UT responses, like their offense could kind of come and go. But Georgia deserves a lot of credit. Great win by them, and let's see what the Dogs do moving forward. But they're feeling great. North Carolina's feeling great. I should mention with West Virginia, I mean, getting knocked out today, that sucks. But I had a very fun night last night over Troy. Had a hell of a time enjoying that game. Just sad that it turned around a day later and that was your exit. But had a really good Tuesday night. But Tuesday. But I've really enjoyed, to his point, college baseball, and I don't know how they maximize it any further, but it does feel like they've got a lot of programs that are resourcing it more than they ever have before. I think you have the ability to do that more than ever before because the money's flowing like never before, but that doesn't mean you necessarily spend it on baseball. But for the programs that have and are and will continue to, I think you're going to see a nice return on your investment. You're probably not going to make a lot of money because it's one of those nonprofit sports, but I do think the pageantry of it and the uniqueness, like I was kind of saying a couple of weeks ago, the uniqueness of seeing super regionals in Morgantown, West Virginia, or Austin, Texas, or wherever, and the hometown fans and all of that, like that's what the college football playoff needs more of as well, is more of those types of atmospheres. And then you get to Omaha where it's just cool, man. It's just a cool ass tournament with a set spot every year, tons of great history, a lot of really good teams and good players. And I do feel like right now they're in a period of momentum. I don't know how you go about capturing that and taking it up a couple more notches. But if you're a college baseball fan, you're loving this time period right now. It's a lot of good stuff.
It is. And it kind of, first of all, the television coverage is it's always been pretty good on ESPN and where it's been before, but it's just more and no different than what you see now with you see a sport like women's basketball, non-revenue sport and women's basketball, but the ratings are a lot higher. And I think a lot of that is some of the personalities they've had, not only by coaches, but also from the players. One other note about Georgia and Texas. Texas had 17 strikeouts. Their pitchers, Harrison's a great pitcher, pitched very well, but couldn't get it done. And Cozart, they had 17 Ks against Georgia. But in the two games, Texas had 8 hits and struck out 27 times against Georgia pitching and out with a 2-0 loss last night.
Based on what I could tell, not a lot of Texas fans that follow closely were surprised that they had a showing like that because they've shown that side before. So it wasn't a shocker by any means that they're a team that's always just knocking it over the fence left and right, and then they just got shut down out of nowhere. Like they've had some problems. So that's what Schlossnagle will address in the offseason to the best of his abilities. And Texas will be back. They'll be back in Omaha. They'll be back in Omaha with him, Lord willing or whatever. And I think if he hangs around long enough, they'll probably ultimately get to check off that last box of his career. But it is interesting that he's in that category of like a Mike Martin where you've won as much as you can without winning the biggest prize imaginable. So be interesting to see that continued journey for that program. But good season for Texas. Great season. I mean, as far as the Directors' Cup, they won that again. Their athletics program's operating at a supremely high level right now. Awesome showing by West Virginia. Didn't go away empty-handed, and really cool first experience for them. And now they'll be even hungrier to get back and pour more money into that program. And I think, the health of college baseball is in a really good place. And you thought that maybe some sports would be affected, like baseball, by kind of having a nickel and dime and move this over to football.
Well, the House settlement allowed them to even give more scholarships if, in
Right.
fact, you wanted to go all in with that.
Scholarships
Yeah.
piece has helped quite a bit. The TV coverage, as you mentioned as well. But they got to take advantage of it somehow.
Mike Martin had over 2,000 wins as a head coach at Florida State. And again, the most wins without winning the College World Series title. Passed away a couple of years ago. Long time. He went through, and you see this, like Bobby Bowden was close but didn't win it, then finally did. Then Osborne for a long time was close but didn't win it and finally won 3. And then you had even Mac Brown that was so close, and then he finally won it. So that's the same thing with the names we put up in baseball. Now, Troy, knocked out by West Virginia. What a great run Skylar Meade and that program had. And I saw this. Mac Brown actually put this up. I believe it was Mac Brown, Coach Mac Brown, with Skylar Meade talking about 2 things. First of all, the culture of a place like Troy or anywhere, and how you build and win games no matter what your budget might be or who you are.
Is we will tell them if something's not good enough, okay? And I think sometimes, like, we all worry, oh, don't challenge this guy or don't do this. He'll go in the portal. Well, if he goes in the portal, I think, okay, whatever. Who cares? We'll get good players. Like, you know what I mean? But you got to have guys that are in the foxhole with you. And so you can't forget to be whatever your culture is. Coach Schlossnagle is one of the greatest coaches in the world. I don't know what his culture is. I'm not privy to that, right? Coach Bianco, all these, I don't know what they are. But I bet what's made them incredibly successful and what I hope to do in my career is to always stay true to, like, what I really am and what I value in communicating with people. And if I don't do that, or I drop 2-3% of that, then I'm not doing the best job possible. And I think that reminding yourself of that, and then the players show you the way to do it, that's why I credit not just the seniors, although they certainly deserve a lot because a lot of those guys have been here for a couple of years, but it's all the players. And if guys can't handle that, then they were never going to be winners for us. And that is the cold, hard truth of how things work in this day and age. But, okay, well, then we'll have to move on and find the next great Blake Covell or Stephen Meyer or Drew Nelson or whomever that may be.
41 years old. He's been at Troy for 5 years, including this year, first World Series appearance. And then one other note from him about just the experience of the College World Series. Very similar to what Schlossnagle said about baseball and a golden era at the college level. Listen to Skylar Meade and what this trip meant to Troy and to him.
But every person who came here now knows, A, what this place is. Like, it's the most unique place in the world. It's the best college sporting event, bar none. No offense to the others. Rose Bowl's awesome. It ain't this, okay?
There you go. To Skylar Meade and Troy with a great run. And they win a couple of games in Omaha, but eventually they're cut short because West Virginia knocked them out yesterday.
Yeah, it seems like he's got a really good head on his shoulders, and sounds like they made the most of their trip. And another great story amongst a bed of great stories for this College World Series in 2026. I think Troy will definitely be back because their fan base, to his point, will be hungrier than ever to further that experience. And I think the same will be said for West Virginia. And yeah, I just think they've got a great thing going, and it's really makes me just sort of envious as a college football fan of like how well put together their postseason is and how it just makes sense. Like having the home sites and the super regionals and having the opportunity to be at home because of what you did throughout the course of the regular season being rewarded, and then having the smaller teams have the opportunity. And I know baseball is different than football, so I'm not saying to carbon copy and just it's all black and white, just do what they do. But for the people who have brought up the idea of like the Rose Bowl being the final destination, I'm not 100% on board with that. But I do think it would be kind of cool. Like if that was like, hey, at the end of the year, like you go to Omaha or you go to the Rose Bowl or something like that. I think I really like the structure of how they decide their champion is what I'm getting at. It just makes sense. It's very college and everybody gets rewarded. You don't have Tennessee saying, well, Long Island doesn't deserve to be here. They don't deserve a chance they didn't play anybody in the regular season. I know that's what RPI and all of these things are for, but it's just refreshing to not be a big bitch fest. Although I know when the bids were first put out there was plenty of, well, why doesn't this team get in or that team get in? They're not different in that way, but just the way it's all put together and the product and how they decide their champion, I just think is really, really cool and unique to them. Can't be used for every single sport, but it works really, really well for baseball. And everybody just having this Omaha experience if you play well enough.
They pick the team, they put the bracket out, and they go. And I like the way they go from the regionals, where you have a host site, 16 of them, to then super regionals, which going in if you're whoever you are and you advance. And then they all meet in Omaha. And you don't hear a lot of bitching and moaning. You're right. It just kind of plays itself out. All right. We will, Rez, I'm trying to make, do you have the statement from Major League Baseball? Speaking of college baseball, there is that Saving College Sports Act that's going to be again in Washington, D.C. They had discussion last night, but Major League Baseball now joined the NFL Players Association, and the NBA Players Association of supporting the Protect College Sports Act. Now, I saw where Amanda Kristovich said something here, and she's like, but Major League Baseball's Players Union has not put up. But they now have gotten support. We mentioned this yesterday, Craig, from a bunch of people. And now even today, Major League Baseball released a statement in support of the Protect College Sports Act.
They said something along the lines of, here you can see some of it. College baseball has undergone a remarkable transformation over the last several years, become an increasingly important pathway for future pro ball players. On issues such as player eligibility, the Protect College Sports Act will help to ensure its continued growth, which is good for all levels of the sport. We congratulate Senators Cruz, Cantwell, Schmidt, and Coons for coming together in a bipartisan fashion to address issues facing college sports. I have not seen anything from the MLBPA in support. Instead, they seem to be very much against this, as there are others. We don't hear about those others, but the players' associations, I think, have, for the most part, been on the opposite side. So what does that say? Like, the organizations are all like, yeah, gung-ho, let's do it. This is great. And all the players' associations are like, nope, this isn't as much of a great idea. So I'm not going to try to BS through some phony kind of opinion or explanation here. I don't know what the hell to make of the Protect College Sports Act. I don't know what the hell to make of the Saving College Sports Act. I don't know what the hell to make from any of these acts. I don't know what's good or bad. I don't know if we need politicians or don't. Typically, I say we don't. I totally hear the outcries from people that while this seems to be gaining momentum, the Protect College Sports Act and Cody Campbell's championing it, and you've got Cruz and Cantwell with their fingerprints on it, there's also others saying this is going to have more government intervention. The government doesn't need to be this involved in the process. You're basically handing them a bunch of the power or the decision making, and we don't need them involved in this way. There's got to be a better way to do this, but everybody's in such a hurry to just have something passed and something that gives you some sort of foundation to build off of and to protect and to actually be able to defend, some sort of gates being placed around the sport to try to protect it from agents and whoever else, lawyers and whatnot. Like, I'm all for that, but I just cannot tell you in any way, shape, or form whether or not this is a good thing or not. I really do not know. I've seen all the explanations. I've seen why it's good, why it's bad. I want guardrails, but I don't know if this is the best guardrail. Is it the only option at legitimate guardrails? Well, then I guess it's better than nothing. But is it good for the long term? I have no idea. And that's where I'm just sort of perplexed by all this. And I don't know. I just seek out others who have better, more well-informed opinions on it. And I've tried to keep up with it, but I just see so much back and forth opposition to this that it's hard to tell what's right and what's the best moving forward. Because on the one hand, I don't think that the schools need to be like ultra protected and the government needs to be with their fingers in the bowl, mixing everything around. I think they need to stay away. But at the same time, if they're the only ones that can mix the recipe together to make it good on the other end of it, then do we need to have them? Like, I'm just kind of at a crossroads. I don't know.
There's an argument. You never want the government to get involved because sometimes it doesn't mean
you need them.
Sometimes if that's like you said, if they're the only ones that can push this thing past the finish line and get some of this under control in college athletics, by God, I don't care who it is. I don't care what their state color is or who just do it. And it would be nice. They have a lot more important things to worry about, but this is kind of the kind of the soul of America in a lot of ways when it comes to college sports and how many people are fans. But I don't care who does it, but get it done. If it can't get it done, then I don't know if they'll ever get it done.
Well, I don't want it to pass if it's just going to be a burden for the athletes.
No.
Like, I mean, they're the ones that have all the power right now. So I think that's probably where you're seeing a lot of pushback come from, because we saw the breakdown of some of the previous options and how heavy-handed in favor of the NCAA and the schools it was. And there's arguments to be made that this is the same way, that this just gives more power to the athletic departments. It tries to stomp out legislation that's legitimate, not just like, let me sue for a 7th year of eligibility, but really actual rights that you deserve to have and things that are important for the protection of student athletes. And it just feels like it's kind of muddy in the explanation. I don't know what to make of it. And I guess just need to see how it continues to play out. And I know that's not like a great answer or anything, but I really don't have a strong opinion on whether it's good or bad, because I can't tell through all the noise. I cannot tell.
Yeah. And there's more people that know more about it. And I don't know, but they're going to have some more discussion tomorrow. Great note from Bracket Cat a minute ago when we were talking about the way college baseball has gained so much popularity. And a lot of it, again, is the access in television. Smokey and Craig, a lot of it is because they still feel like college sports. That's why I gravitated to them. Football and men's basketball are as close to semi-pro, if not past that level. Bracket Cat, you're right. There's a sense of innocence still in Omaha about what they do with college baseball and throughout the season too.
Yeah, and I haven't thought about it in that way, but I think that you hit on something there. Yeah, I do think it just feels like college sports. It feels like you're just at a college baseball game. You're not worried about the first baseman threatening to leave for the other team that you're playing at that moment, the minute the game's over with and the season's over with, although that could very well happen. The players aren't as singularly identifiable as a lot of other sports, in those two sports in particular, in football and basketball. I think that's a great point. It just feels like college sports, kind of the way you have that nostalgia or just that kind of cozy, warm feeling of, oh, this is the best of college sports. Yeah, there is an element of that to it. And I hadn't really put my finger on that, but now you have. And so, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for why it feels the way that it does as well.
We're going to take a break here. 5 o'clock hour around the corner. Big 12 is spoken. Did they change their mind on two teams that opted out of college bowl games that had coaching changes? That's next and more. And this is 365 Sports. The 5 o'clock hour is next. It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
For anyone that's in the car buying mode or looking for a car right now or a truck, I would definitely come by Allen Samuels, get to know the people here like I have, how well I'm taking care of the dealership and how well service and any kind of warranty issues and those sort of things. Because of the way they take care of me, it's made me a Ram driver. And so I don't think they'd want to go anywhere else if they came here.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
This 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson and Brad Wilson in Waco, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe, with an individualized approach to addressing your financial needs, including education, savings, planning for retirement, and protection strategies. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, making sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
All right, a couple of notes, and then we have eventually Andrew Valade is in there with his beakers and all of what he does with his scientific mixtures of poison to close out the show with the wheel, and then quizzes it also with, of course, the poll results. Here's a little nugget that's a little bit different. Rez, go ahead and put it up if you don't mind. Iowa State, Kansas State. This is from Brett McMurphy. Appealed their $500,000 fines, $500,000 fines from the Big 12 for opting out of their bowl games last year. And those fines have now been reduced to $250,000. That's from Brett McMurphy. So both K-State coaching change, Chris Kleiman, Iowa State coaching change, Matt Campbell to Penn State. Kleiman retired, $500,000 fines. And they weren't the only schools because Notre Dame did that, but they're not in a conference, so nobody could fine them. But those two teams had their fines dropped from $500,000 to $250,000 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the right call to not really punish them for doing something that pretty much everybody else did as well or is trying to do around college football. Just like I said, I don't know what to believe on the Cruz Cantwell bill, and I get lost in are we saving sports? Or are we protecting sports? Like which version are we on? We're on protecting right now, right? Or is that the version we're on now? Do you even realize? Do you even know?
It is all to try to protect college athletes. Some of it is to protect college sports in general, because they obviously can't run themselves or govern themselves or trust each other.
But I'm asking, which bill are we on? Are we on the protecting one now? Is that the one we're on? Okay, I'm just making sure here. So just like I don't really know whether that's the best idea or not, I don't know the best way to fix bowl games. I don't know how to try and force participation, especially if you are undergoing a coaching change. And if a team decides that they are going to, because their roster has been riddled by the transfer portal, they've had their heart ripped out of their chest because Matt Campbell has finally left Ames when you had just probably reached a point in year 15 or whatever it was that, you know what, he's actually not going to leave at this point. And then he does. I don't know, man. I'm open to all sorts of ideas when it comes to the bowl games, but I think finding $250,000 is that's or 500,000, excuse me, and lowering it to $250,000 that's the decent thing to do. Yeah,
I don't know how much the conference lost because those two teams didn't play, but I'm sure it's a pretty good penny. Because the conference makes money. I know the bowl
how
game.
was Iowa State going to play?
What
were they going to do? Yeah.
No, these two teams had a pretty good reason. I hate it because it all, remember, started out with a player opting out because of what happened to Jalen Smith when he was at Notre Dame. He got injured, and then players were protecting their bodies because of the professional level that they're going to get drafted or try to get drafted. So that started, and now teams. And with the transfer portal, Matt Campbell and his team were a shell of themselves, and he wasn't even there anymore. So you might see more of this than less of this, and how they protect it, I have no idea. Unless they start paying the players. You show up, you're going to get X amount of money for whatever the bowl game might be.
And I understand the Big 12's position is $500,000 seems like a lot of money, but you're trying to offset what you're losing by them not playing in that game potentially. So I totally get that part of it. So yeah, I mean, not the biggest deal in the world. I totally understood where both those programs were coming from, especially Iowa State. Do you find a way to try to field a team? Like, do you have we need 10 players like co-eds. I guess not co-eds, but we need to hold intramural trials or whatever the hell like they do for a kicker sometimes, right? Do you do that to try to find a linebacker just to get you through the bowl game so you don't get fined $500,000 or $250,000? Yeah, maybe for some that's what they'll need to do. But I guess the Big 12's open-minded. That's the good thing, is they're open-minded enough to take a step back and reduce the punishment, but still apply a punishment to let the message still be sent that we can't have you guys not participating in bowl games. It's important that you guys, if you get the opportunity, that you play in them.
I need to send a note to Matt Enser, who's a media relations for the conference, about how much did the Big 12 lose by these teams not playing, but it was $500,000 back on December the 7th. That's when they made the decision, and now it will be reduced by half to $250,000 each.
There's a lot of Tech fans that have a problem with this as well, that are using this as that I saw earlier today, are using this as so the Big 12 is flexible, and so the Big 12 can be open-minded, and so Iowa State's not following the rules. I saw a lot of that, and I think it might have been Brett McMurphy's tweet, the one we're looking at, actually.
It is Brett McMurphy, yeah. As far as the rest of it?
The responses that I was reading.
Okay.
I think we're in response to Brett McMurphy's tweet. But, there was a lot of that from people with cactus emojis in their names.
All right. I had a feeling that on the same day, the same week, now you're going to sit there and help work with a couple of other programs. All right. The Big 12 and Texas Tech are going to go at it for quite some time, for maybe forever. Who knows if that's true or not. Now, Messi, one note on the World Cup. And I got to tell you, at night, as I'm getting in bed, getting ready to go to sleep, I'll sit there and kind of scroll through some World Cup pictures, images. England's winning right now 4-2 in their match. But the atmosphere is just incredible. All throughout the country, it's been pretty cool. And then Messi last night, 3 goals. Top scorer in World Cup history, 16 of them. Look at that shadow that the World Cup 2026 is not even their official Twitter feed, but look at the shadow they put up with Messi with his arms out and the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. It was a great night for the big stars of the league. I mean, Gunnar Holland yesterday, or Erling Holland yesterday as well. And
Mbappe?
Kylian Mbappe as well. Yeah, those three having huge days and scoring multiple goals apiece and leading some of the best teams, and just probably the three. I don't know. I don't want to step out of my my comfort zone here, my knowledge zone, but I feel like Mbappe, Holland, and certainly Messi are amongst the three
and
best.
Kane.
And who?
Kane.
Harry Kane.
Yeah, he's another one.
But yeah, Holland, Mbappe, Messi, all yesterday having huge days, and the reactions are so cool, man. We're talking about college baseball and how it just sort of feels like college baseball. World Cup soccer feels like college sports in a lot of ways too. Just the passion and I don't know. There's just something so special and cool about it, even though it's not a sport that I've spent a lot of my life watching or playing for that matter. It is a unique, very cool event when the world gets together. Were you saying something?
No, I was reading something, and I do that every once in a while. I just start reading, and I start talking while I'm reading, because I'm usually at home. I'm usually at my condo alone at night.
All right. Well, we're okay. Well, we're on the radio for at least 10 more minutes. So, I think it's been a huge success. It's been awesome to see all of the patriotism in some ways, but not just for the Americans, for all of the various countries. I think it was the Democratic Republic of Congo earlier today scored their first World Cup goal and had a larger contingent of fans than I probably would have guessed, but they were decked out in their jerseys and they were losing their ever-loving minds over just simply tying the game up. And there's so many examples of that already. We still have several weeks left, and it's just been really cool. Like, with the way the world was going, like, you didn't know how all this was going to work and how good it would be. Like, the product's going to be good ultimately, but what will the atmosphere be like? Is there going to be immigration issues? Is there going to be problems getting teams from place to place? Is there going to be what's going to happen? Because of the buildup.
Well, there was the concern about how the team from Iran, the Iranian team, where were they going to practice? What was going to go on?
And there's still some controversy.
Yeah,
over that,
there is, and I get that. But overall, what I thought would be, well, I would also remember that maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, prices were so high, ticket sales were down.
Yeah,
it's just been it's a home run grand slam, whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
the lead into it was like a lot of like fear mongering about the ticket prices and fans coming over from other countries and whether they were going to get scooped up by ICE or like what all was going to happen. And so I was a little bit concerned of like, man, this is not going to be a very good look for the U.S. if this just turns into an S show of politics and whatever. And man, it's been awesome. It's been absolutely awesome. I'm sure there's been a thing here or there that's not been perfect, but from what I can tell, and certainly yesterday with all the biggest faces scoring goals, it's been really cool to see. And I'm very proud to be an American watching how all these festivities are going off and how much fun all these people who have come over here seem to be having. There's a lot of great stories, a lot of great memories too, definitely for a lot of people that have made their way over here.
Kyle Visser, have you guys had a chance to look at the girls of the World Cup photos?
I have not.
Oh,
I can only
my
imagine,
God.
Though.
All right. I have, because it's on my feed, and I can't tell the difference between real and AI. But, yeah, there's some stunning pictures of there was a woman that was United States with the flag and all that, and she was gorgeous, but then it's AI. But there are some other reels and feeds of some of the women in the stands from Germany and everywhere else. That's been a popular one. I'll tell you the feed if you tweet me. No, I'm kidding. Okay. But, yeah, some gorgeous women from the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, there's beautiful women all over the world, and a lot of them have flocked to America along with for the folks who go the other way. You have plenty of, I guess, offerings there. But it's been, just really cool. Certainly have noticed a lot of beautiful women on my end for sure. So is the TV cameras. They always, like, that's one thing constant across sports. They will find the pretty lady in the stands.
Yeah, the photographers, they get bonuses, I think.
They will fixate in some cases, like it's Catherine Webb or something.
I was going to say, that's the first time I remember when a photographer, and of course Brent Musburger, they could not stop showing shots of her.
They loved Brent Musburger loves some Catherine Webb more than AJ
McCarron.
He
needed to. Yeah,
more than AJ McCarron. But no, there's been a lot of cool stuff that's come out of this World Cup, and there's still a good ways to go. But it does help satisfy like that kind of wait between or wait for college football season, and gives you a little bit of that flair and that fanaticism and stuff that you can relate to. And there's a lot of parallels you can draw, as a lot of people have. Bill Connolly's written books about the parallels between soccer in some leagues like Premier League and what we have in college football in particular. So I always think of that whenever I see soccer on, but it's been really cool.
Coos Corner. Ask Michael DeHart, 2 West Virginia fans. Hey, just wanted to tell you, hey, what a great run they made out throughout until the loss today to North Carolina. Ask Michael DeHart, Eastern European women are absolutely stunning. So, yeah, people are noticing that, no question.
I won't disagree. I will not disagree with that. But there's all sorts of. There's South America represents itself pretty well. I think North America represents
Latin
itself
America,
pretty well.
yeah.
But there's definitely just so much culturally that you take in with the World Cup. Just all the different backgrounds and the way people celebrate and the way they represent each country, and it's just it's so unique. And even for a country that doesn't really embrace the sport, like, it's impossible to not embrace the World Cup. Like, it's impossible.
One of the funniest parts of these feeds is that all of a sudden the guy said, make sure you watch to the end. So you do, and there's all these pictures and beautiful women, and then there's a lady from Scotland, and she's sitting there like some old broad, and she's it's at the table and eating.
Old broad.
Yeah, I mean it was funny. And Scotland, man. Is it Scotland that has drank so much alcohol and beer in Boston that they're almost out of it, that they're panicking about not having as much, more than anything they've ever experienced during St. Patrick's Day?
Well, I think I know the point you were trying to make with the Scottish woman. I don't know if I would have said some old broad, but there's people of all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds, ethnicities. Like it's the full rainbow at the World Cup. on a full scale. So yeah, I saw that about the Scottish in Boston. They had a great time there, and I'm sure they drank their fair share. I'm not so sure Boston wasn't able to find more. I'm sure they were able to, but yeah, you hear a lot of just different tales like that along the way as well.
Firefighter. That's how Pamela Anderson was discovered, as a fan in the stands. I don't know what sport it might have been, but how somebody saw her on
she
camera.
like a CFL game or something
May
like
have
that,
been,
I
yeah.
want to say.
All right, last thing, the U.S. Open in golf. Last note. I have to do this one, Rez. The U.S. Open starts tomorrow morning. This note here from Justin Ray Golf, I couldn't believe this. Shinnecock Hills is a beast, and it's a beast this week too. 654 players have teed it up in the U.S. Open at a U.S. Open event at Shinnecock Hills. Remember, the first one was in the late 1890s, but they've only had 5. 654 players have played Shinnecock Hills in a U.S. Open, in a major. 3 of them, only 3 of them, at the end of the tournament were under par. Think about it. That's nuts. Retief Goosen was 1, Raymond Floyd was 1, and Mickelson. 3 players finished under par after 4 rounds in the history of that 5 tournaments at Shinnecock Hills. So that's the kind of challenge it will be starting first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, not much of a golf fan, but that's a crazy stat. And actually, as we were talking here, I just saw where the English video Fox Sports put up of the English soccer team after their big win singing Wonderwall by Oasis with their fans. And so that's just, again, kind of what I was referring to. Everybody's got their own little unique things, and it's been really cool to see all of that. But yeah, we'll have the U.S. Open, and for those who maybe joined us late, want to hear us talk about Brendan Sorsby and the latest on all of that, you can circle back to the beginning of the show. Spent a great deal of time on it. Just thought I'd let you know in case you were one of those that popped on, was curious if we had talked about what all has gone on today with Brendan Sorsby's agent speaking on Dallas radio and Cody Campbell talking on Lubbock TV, and we covered all of that and what all it means and everything else attached to it. So, yeah, we have covered that just for those joining us a little bit late. And, yeah, appreciate another show almost in the books here.
It was quite a bit, no question about it. Thank you very much to Rez. We're not done. We have the wheel and more. Garrett, Logan, Houston, and also Andrew Valade. And let's spin the wheel.
When was the last time you went to the movies, and what did you see?
I mentioned mine. God, I just went blank on it. I just went blank on it. I left early because I just got bored. It was one of the last John Wick, but I left early, and that's when I got a FaceTime from Jennifer and Daniel that they had gotten engaged in Chicago.
Who are Jennifer and Daniel?
Jennifer is Craig's sister. She's our daughter, and Daniel's her husband, not my daughter, Cindy's daughter. And Daniel is the husband for Jennifer, and they are the parents to amazing granddaughter Grace G. Lynn.
All right, yeah, I just want to.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sort of. You almost made it not make sense in the description
Yeah, I know.
of it. It's like my daughter and son-in-law.
I didn't know. I always wondered, Craig,
yeah.
if Craig had a daughter. You have a daughter? No, you don't have a daughter.
No, that's Paul's got the estranged child, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
That's still one of the great stories ever. Yeah.
So yeah, the last couple of John Wicks were not very, very good. I did not enjoy the fourth one especially, but the first one was awesome. I still like the second one a good bit, even though I think that's when I started to notice people sort of taking kind of turning the corner, not enjoying the series as much. And then I really didn't like the third one that much either, but love the first one. The last movie I saw in the theaters is, geez Louise, I can't remember. It's been a really long time.
When I used to go to Rangers baseball training camp in mid-March, there was kind of almost a gift for covering football the way we did. This is when I was especially in East Texas, but we did it here in radio. We'd go to Rangers training camp, And it's really such a cool, quiet, relaxing time that we would go cover the game. We'd do our show, cover a game at night, whatever. And I'd go to the movie theater. And I watched about 2 or 3 movies a week when I was there.
Yeah.
And played a lot of golf.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to watch some movies and kill some time. I think it might have been Superman is the last one I went and saw actually in the theater. So that would have been a little over a year ago, I guess, or about then. So yeah, that would have been the last time. Would have been that. I only really get out for superhero movies, but not all of them. Definitely not all of them. But that one being the first one for Superman in a while and kind of a new look, I was like, I gotta check this out and see what it's all about. So yeah, I think that'd be my answer.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew, for that one. See if anybody in the chat room put anything else up about Show Me the Money, Jerry. That was Bobby B who said that. First Avatar movie is only 3D I've ever seen. I think.
Oh yeah, because it also
Top
does
Gun
ask,
Maverick for me.
When's the last time you saw a movie in 3D? I don't know that I ever even have. Yeah.
No, Top Gun would have been the last one I saw in the movie. The duplicate, whatever you call it, the follow up. That would have been the last one I saw.
Maverick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paxton, I saw Green Hornet in 3D. So a lot of you with
Green
feedback
Hornet.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for those responses in the chat. Let's get to the quizzes. There are 2 of them. And the first one, June of 1994, this date, NBC cut away from Game 5 of the NBA Finals for what major breaking news event that stunned 95 million viewers? I know this one.
Yes, the OJ chase, right?
Low-speed LA police pursuit of a white Bronco. Yep, in the afternoon of that particular, or that evening of that Game 5. There it is. Became one of the most surreal days in media history. NBC interrupted the Knicks-Rockets NBA Finals to show O.J. Simpson's 60-mile chase across L.A., driven by Al Collins in a white Bronco. The pursuit drew 95 million viewers. When Simpson surrendered at his Brentwood estate, police found cash, a gun, his passport, and a disguise kit, ending a moment that changed American news and, in some cases, America forever.
Yeah, man, they need to do a documentary on this. I haven't seen any follow-up on it. No, I mean, between that, what were the other options? The Waco siege. There's been 50,000 documentaries on that one.
The press.
Jackson.
I got a story on the Princess Diane. Did a game in Killeen, Texas with Randy Johnson, and we're on our way back. It's very late. It's like past midnight. Driving back into Tyler, and we're just listening to music, and all of a sudden they did a cut in that Lady Di had been in this wreck, and that. I remember that when I was I remember right where I was.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was at home and just remember being able to stay up late to watch the coverage of it with my mom. And Waco, I remember that really well. I didn't live there, but remember that whole ordeal being in the state of Texas at the time. I don't really remember much about Michael Jackson's Oprah interview.
I don't either.
But yeah, the OJ thing, that's an easy answer. And I vividly remember that cut in and all the aftermath.
The second one on the list, and Andrew, I know what you're doing there. But it just drives a lot of people from the city of Waco nuts. The tragic siege in Waco, because it wasn't in Waco. Technically, that was the biggest city, and so Waco took a big hit from that.
Yeah, totally ruined its reputation for probably ever for most people. I mean, as far as what's the first thing you think of, it's that. And unfortunately, the second thing you think of is probly something Baylor related.
Baylor men's basketball.
Yeah,
or
I mean, it's just like a town that's got just an oddly cruel history with stories like that are national.
They had the biker shootout.
Yeah, I mean, it
was bad.
There's I don't know. It's just weird. It's just absolutely weird how events like that are like drawn to a place. But
yep. You know what? Now is the reason people, when they mention the city, it's because of Magnolia and at least the business.
I mean, Chip and Joe have done some work in that regard. It is more of what people mention now than they did before, where it was just the Branch Davidian David Koresh thing, or it was the biker shootout there for about a year and a half, and that was just absurdly mishandled by a guy who was out of office very shortly thereafter. Finally, it was like the final straw. People were like, "Oh, wait, he doesn't do a good job." Oh, okay. And it's like, yeah, you've finally had enough embarrassment to move on. And yeah, it's crazy. Like per capita, I don't know if there's another city that's had the number of like traumatic events attached to it that have made national news as Waco has seemingly. But yeah, Waco and the OJ story, and I guess Princess Diana to a lesser extent, but Waco and the OJ story, like if there is a documentary series that comes out on any network and they do anything that's about like craziest stories, those two are absolutely 100% always going to be in it. They're always like two of the, it's the Manson murders. It's like maybe OKC.
Yeah.
Ruby Ridge kind of doesn't get much because I don't know why. Maybe it's just not as interesting for some people. I don't know. But yeah, Waco has had more than its fair share, as has OJ, of documentaries, TV series, movies, TV movies, so on and so forth. And we'll still have plenty more in the future, I'm sure.
Somebody asked me about my guys who finished under par at the U.S. Open real quickly. Brooke Koepka won it in 18, but he was one over par. All right, next question. Lionel Messi just went nuclear in Argentina's World Cup opener with a hat trick. How many World Cup goals does the GOAT now have, tying the all-time men's record? And the answer is the third one.
Yeah, 16, I believe, was what I saw yesterday after he finished up. So yeah, I believe it's 16.
16 is the answer, and it is. At 38, Lionel Messi became the first male player to appear in 6 World Cups, capping it with his first tournament hat trick performance. Tied Miroslav Klose's men's World Cup record, 16, lifted his career tournament contributions to 24, passing Pele at 21. I'm glad Pele's on here. That was the first time I ever really had any kind of connection to soccer. That was it. Pele was it. He was the greatest. And there was a Sports Illustrated cover. He was phenomenal. Came to the United States and played in the professional league. But now Messi is now the guy who is the GOAT.
Messi's an easy dude to root for too, based on everything I've seen. I'm not well versed in entrenched in soccer fandom, but I've been obviously aware of him for the longest time because he's been great for forever now. Same as like people looking at LeBron James or, you know, the likes of the greatest that we've ever seen do it. Yeah, he's right there on top of that conversation for millions of people. And to watch him, to watch Erling Haaland, to watch Kylian Mbappe, I'm not just learning their names this week. I've been aware of those guys because I do dabble in like Champions League and Premier League, and I do pay attention to some of that, just not like I do college football. But to see all of them have like such massive days yesterday, that was really
incredible.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ronaldo, I think, was maybe playing today. Portugal, was it today or yesterday?
Oh, they tied.
Yeah.
They had a very bad outcome for Team Portugal. So yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo. He's in that discussion as well. But yeah, they had a bad result. With the tie, I believe.
Your uncle and my oldest brother Robert was as big a fan of Messi as ever known. He absolutely would watch YouTube games over and over again of Messi playing. All right, let's get to now the poll results. How many regular season wins for Tech now that Brendan Sorsby is gone?
Well, I'm glad you asked this because I wanted to circle back to college football before we left, as we always kind of go in a good way to spread our wings towards the end of the show. But I do like to circle back, and I've got my official video out there. It's been out there. Am I just going through the games and not like breaking them down? Like, I think in week 2, they're going to play really good deep. I'm not getting like into that depths of anything, but like win, loss. I'm saying 11 plus. I'm still sticking with it. And I understand the part of the reason I'm sticking with it is because the video's out there and I'm not going to go change it at this point. But I also made it very clear in said video that I think they can still be very, very good without him. I think that last year proved that you had good, sometimes pretty good, but you never had like elite play from Baron Morton. Not trying to disparage him, but just saying. And so I think that, you don't need to have like a 1-1 at quarterback to win the Big 12 and to win a bunch of games. And I think you still look at their schedule and there's a couple potholes. Houston in week 3 in Lubbock. especially if you don't know who's quarterback in that particular game. That could get maybe a little bit weird. Arizona State, but it's at home. I don't see a lot of teams being equipped enough to beat them. I think the talent difference is pretty substantial with them and most teams. And I think the continuity and just everything they have, Sorsby's a loss for them, but it's not like they're going to go from winning 12 games to now they're only going to win 8 games. That's not the kind of loss that he is. So, I say 11 plus still. I'm sticking with that.
All right. I said 10. There'll be a game when they burp, and then maybe somebody else beats them. We're talking regular season, not Big 12 championship or a bowl game or playoffs. So I said 10. All right. Let's go to the next poll question. Who will conquer Shinnecock Hills? I just had that phenomenal stat about no one goes under par, only 3 in the history of the 2026 Open. It's Scheffler, McIlroy, and Xander Schauffele, a field dark horse. Man, I almost went with a field dark horse. Remember J.J. Spahn last year rolled in that long putt and stunned the world. But Scotty Scheffler is due. I don't like using that. He hasn't been as sharp. This course is really you have to be efficient. I just think that Scotty is going to have a pretty good week, and I think he'll win it.
Okay.
All right.
I don't have an opinion on golf. I don't have that type of insight to provide. I stay in my lane, and my lane is not talking about the U.S. Open. So, take your word for it, and I'm sure you will be close to spot on with that.
Well, I would love to see him. If he does win, he would be a part of the 7th player in golf history to have the Grand Slam, which means the Open, Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open's British Open, and also the PGA Championship. All right, those are the poll results. By the way, S. Michael DeHart, we love you, man. He said today, guys, if you don't mind, June 17th of 1989 would have been my late wife and our 37th wedding anniversary. She passed back in June of 2011, 13 days before our 23rd anniversary. Our first date was to Bennigan's and Back to the Future as the movie. Michael, Michael, we love you, man. We do appreciate all of when you watch us and also for who you are.
Buddy, that's a nostalgia hit right there. A dinner at Bennigan's and then Back to the Future. That's freaking sounds like an awesome night for this 90s kid. Loved Bennigan's back when it was a regular go-to, and loved Back to the Future. So that sounds like a hell of a date. So yeah, man, sorry you're dealing with that loss all these many years later. But just stay strong, brother. And a lot of people sending positive vibes your way. I certainly will. I know you will. I know the rest of the audience will as well. Yep. So, just keep your head up. Remember the good times and stay strong. And thanks for being around with us and hanging out with us.
We are supposed to, at some point, play Greenbrier up in West Virginia. Maybe get Ren Baker and Rich Rodriguez to be a part of our foursome. Thank you, Rez. Thank you to Logan, Garrett, Andrew, and also Houston. All of them today helping us out, along with you, of course, our great audience, and our sponsors, too. Back tomorrow at 3:00. Craig,
do you think we're talking about something Brendan Sorsby related? Do you think anything else will drop at this point? I think we might tomorrow be okay. Unless somebody else wants to pop off.
Michael McCann, who's a sports law, and I've tried to get him on again this week, but he put something out there about the accusations by the agent towards Cincinnati. We'll put up a couple of quotes on that tomorrow, but we're not. I hopefully he'll have something else to lead with, and not that.
I mean, more on breaking news side of thing. I feel like we're on the clear.
Not unless somebody can do investigative reporting about something that maybe it's out there that would be for tomorrow.
But yeah, it's we had a really good long conversation about the Cody Campbell TV interview, the Sorsby agent radio interview, and just all the unpacking of that again at the start of the show for like a good solid hour at the beginning. So if you're still interested in that, we got plenty there. But yeah, thanks for joining us as always. We'll see what tomorrow brings.
All right, tomorrow at 3:00. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great night. This is the Smoke Show on 365 Sports.